Hello YouTube, welcome to the club of Bootstrap 4. Actual version right now is 4.3.1 actually, but that's not really that important. We are just in these tutorials and there will be probably a lot of tutorials because we are getting into details. We will learn Bootstrap version 4. So question is, why this thing is so popular? I mean, why so many people use it, so many websites? We are not talking about thousands, we are talking about millions of websites using it. Well, apparently, Bootstrap, which is basically a bunch of CSS and JavaScript code, will help you to develop, if you're skilled in a couple of hours, your startup, your mobile first project. Now, mobile first, of course, but this thing, I mean, the things developed with Bootstrap as a front end will work on a desktop machines, on a TVs, on plasmas, on whatever. So this is really time saver. Then when something saves you time, it immediately saves you money. I mean, yeah, that's the general idea. Now, who stands basically behind this? We need to get into a little bit of history because we will have plenty of source code to talk about. The authors of Bootstrap were at Twitter, so actually the guys were Mark Otto and Jakob Thornton. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but that's the general information here. So right now the thing is that Bootstrap 5 is in development and there will be some changes from GQ to native JavaScript, which yeah, I think it's good, you know, just to back the basis, and it will be drop support for Internet Explorer 10 and some other thing with in testing infrastructure, but that's for Bootstrap 5. Okay, now interesting thing here is the Bootstrap originally was named Twitter Blueprint. And I remember when I was reading about that and a little bit about Bootstrap, because in the meantime I was doing something else, so it was like some kind of confusion, but over time everything is fine. So Bootstrap official name today, and this thing is absolutely great. So when we are learning this thing, and this is dynamic, I think that it's the dumbest idea to practice on standalone file which will be somewhere on your system, for example on desktop. I mean, obviously I'm using Windows, but it's totally not important. I think that cool idea is to, well, you obviously guys have experience with HTML and CSS up to now, so I think that you know how to set up your web server and stuff. I'm going to use Easy PHP web server, and if you're Windows and you want to follow what I do, you can just go out and grab dev server. Okay, that's the easiest thing to do. You can choose your version, and that's about it. So how control panel of when you start it looks like, it's like this. You can mess around with HTTP server, database server, you have PHP MyAdmin down there, and many other tools. Okay, but I know, you know, you guys probably can use something else, and it's totally up to you. So what we're gonna use in these tutorials as editor, it will be Atom, because I think it's simple, it's beautiful, the default background is nice, your eyes will not get tired. Well, at least that's how I look into it. So I will be pretty much happy with Atom, because it's simple, it's straightforward, it gets the job done, and you know, it's not pure notepad. I mean, you can do this thing in a notepad if you like, totally up to you. So yeah, let's back to Bootstrap. Now, when you're trying to get it, there are two basically options. Either to grab directly CSS and JavaScript files, and we're gonna do that in tutorials, don't worry. Or you can pull source code from other people content delivery network, CDNs. So we're gonna do that too. Okay, now let's just go and create first index PHP page, and let's try to grab default startup template. Let's use the term from Get Bootstrap. Okay, so let's start our I have server started, Atom. The default, okay, just a second, the default folder for Easy Dev Server is, well, in this case, at least in my case, into program files, where else, Easy PHP Dev Server 17, and this is the folder you need. Okay, now there is nothing right now in that folder because I deleted everything. I just want to go from zero for you guys so you can understand everything if you are beginners, even with HTML or CSS, and it will be really simple, so don't worry. So let's just open that folder. Okay, and let's create index.php. Now don't type here index.html because PHP will be important for us a little bit later when we will split header of Bootstrap and JavaScript of Bootstrap into header and footer, because we wanna have our pages simplified. So we just wanna be focused on Bootstrap source code actually. So yeah, that's it. Now let's go to get started. And this is introduction page. Okay, here is the link. You can type that into Google, whatever. Now we will skip in this tutorial because I don't want to go to 15 minutes CSS and JavaScript file, don't worry, and just go down there and grab starter template. Okay, so copy. You can just select everything here with mouse, or you can just click copy. And they're using here hello world. So just for a second, let's create hello world here because I want you to see the difference in a font when you have Bootstrap and when you don't have it. So what was it? Hello world, something like that. It's really not important. Okay, so we have saved it. Let's go to localhost, refresh. Do I have server started? Oh, oops. Yeah, I need to start it. Obviously. Come on, man. Yeah. Okay, where is it? Home page. Right, so this is default H1. Now check this out when we include Bootstrap. Okay, where is Atom? We're gonna delete this, copy paste, and don't worry, we will go through every of these lines. We are just trying to grab here that overall look, the difference between fonts. That's the plain and simplest thing to see, to understand. So okay, let's see how font will look like differently. Okay, see, it's somehow more usable in a minute. And this is the beauty of Bootstrap. Not just that it's mobile friendly, not just you can think about your startup, about your backend thing. You can dedicate your time to it, but it's also kind of usable, kind of beautiful. So I absolutely sorry, love it. I mean, just look, official page of Bootstrap. It's a simple, it's also full of information, but it's not heavy on eyes. And I really like that pages. And look at this header. I mean, this width, it's not tight, so it's kind of obvious. It's simple. It's easy on eyes. That's awesome stuff with Bootstrap. Okay, where I was. Oh yeah. So let's just go to view page source to see how it looks like. Really simple stuff. So in next tutorial, yeah, we're gonna mess around with headers, footers, static files, and so on. But overall thing here is that this section here will go to header, this section will go to footer. This is dedicated for JavaScript thingies, you know, and this is dedicated obviously for CSS, and the content will be right here. So that's pretty much it. Let's just click on a CSS here to see what kind of, how big Bootstrap actually is. See, piles and piles of text. But you know, I mean, you get front-end solution solved and you get this much of CSS. And some people say, well, the website will be slow and so on. But you know, guys, this is 2019. We have fast internet in most part of the world. Well, at least in, I don't know, Europe and Russia and United States and Canada. I mean, you cannot fix everything. You cannot fix the whole world. So the websites will be a little bit bigger when they're loading, but you know, you get Bootstrap as a front end, and what else do you need? I mean, come on. Anyway, 10 minutes long tutorial. See you next one, and in next one we can mess around with headers and footers. So thank you for watching, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's go line by line through our source code to see what means. If you're getting into web development line of business right now, consider yourself extremely happy because you will deal with HTML5. That means that you are evading hell of HTML versions that we use in past decades. For example, let me show you something. If you go to W3C, Quality Assurance Recommended List of Doc Type Declarations, yeah, there is HTML5 here, but check this mess from past. We have HTML versions 4 and subversions strict transitional frame set, and that was not enough. XHTML 1.0 strict transitional and frame set, and then 1.1, and then basic 1.1, and a lot of mess down there. So we can consider ourselves really happy because we are just dealing with HTML5. That means that a lot of people have done some improvement, and now we have something which is really useful, really understandable, clear, and we don't need to mess around with these hell of X versions. Right. Now, next line. Where is my editor? Just a second. Oh, this is obvious. The proposition here is that the text is in English, really simple stuff. Character set, UTF-8, you probably know that, but if your language is not a primary English, I mean your page, that means that your specific local characters, if you use UTF-8 here, will be correctly represented. If you don't use UTF-8 here, maybe your local characters will look totally cryptic on user browsers. So allow me again to show you something. Now, this is UTF-8 wiki page, and here's the deadline. Interesting. Since 2009, UTF-8 has been the dominant encoding for the World Wide Web. So that's really important sentence, and down there you have even charts. So let me find yet another line, 2018. Okay, so by 2018 most languages have use of UTF-8 up in the low to high 90%. So that means that you can be pretty much safe if your language is not English, that your character will be correctly presented on users' browsers, devices. Right. Okay, what's next? Now, this viewport line here, this is one line, but it's complete mess. People use it, but they don't know why. They just say, this is because I want my site to be responsive. But here's the thing, this line is not standard at all. How I know that? Well, check this out. This is official page from MDN web documents. Okay, now the author of that line is Apple. So Apple introduced the viewport meta tag in Safari iOS to let web developers, check this out, control the viewport size and scale. But this line is interesting. Now, even guys from Mozilla, they had, check what they say, but we had to do some detective work to figure out exactly how to implement it into Fennec, whatever it is. So they refer us to Apple's documentation. Now, I have that link component somewhere here, okay? Oh yeah. So configuring the viewport. And if you really want to invest into that one line, couple of hours of practicing and understanding, then you need to grab this line. But I think just it's too much work to do because we are learning Bootstrap, so we will just skip this. If you really want to get into depth of viewport, you can get this line, this page and this page from Mozilla. Now, where is that thing that it's not standard? Let me see, just a couple of seconds. Okay, standard. Oh, yeah. So many other mobile browsers now support this tag, although it's not part of any web standard. So that's where I get that thing that it's not well, maybe it's mandatory today, but it's not part of some web standard. People use it. It's just the fact, Where is that line again? Okay, it would be good to have a true standard for web pages to control viewport properties. Official Mozilla statement. I didn't invent this. So that was about viewport, right? Now, this line here, with that line, we will grab Bootstrap CSS. Of course, CSS must be in the head of our web page, PHP page, whatever. Now, this line here, line 9, is completely same as a line in official documentation. If you go to get started, I think, yeah, so this is that line, okay, style sheet, blah blah blah, stack path, Bootstrap content delivery network 431, Bootstrap min CSS. If we check that into our what's the term, yeah, editor, absolutely same CSS file, but we are getting it from their network, and that's fine. Like, it's like we are outsourcing things here. Now, after that, we have JavaScript thingies. But check this out. These JavaScript files must be in specific order. So, first it's GQ, okay, GQ, slim, then popper or pooper, whatever, here, and then Bootstrap JS right here. So this is some order that we need to respect, and these lines here are exactly like they are into documentation. Let me find that. Many of our components require the use of JavaScript. Yeah, I mean, JS is important if you wanna your page to be interactive, because there are some things like, for example, modals. When you use them, when you click on them, something will pop up. For example, like launch demo modal. See? So if you want this happening on your page, you must include that JavaScript things. Right. Where I was? Just a second. Oh man, I lost myself. Oh yeah, JavaScript files. So the order GQ, okay, here, then popper, pooper, and then Bootstrap. So that's the thing, right? The absolutely same pages. So 8 minutes tutorial, Jesus, not again. Anyway, let's split our web page into actual content, and we will have here into header, and we will have this part into footer. So let's create new file, header, PHP, and new file, okay, footer, PHP. Okay, so let's grab this part here and put it into header, and then that's fine. So let's grab this part here from base template and let's put it into footer. Right, save. Now this is header. Oh yeah, index page. Now we don't need this. So the question is how to include these PHP individual pages right now, because we just don't want to watch into these all over again. What's the point? We are using Bootstrap, right? So index page, and how to include our PHP files. PHP include, what's the name of file, header, PHP extension, and semicolon. Now let's just copy this right there, because obviously it's a footer. Okay, so let's arrange that, header to footer, and let's save it, and let's check our page, refresh. So everything is fine, the beautiful font. Let's see what page source is. So this is CSS, right? That's cool. And we have JS, GQ, popper, and Bootstrap. Yeah, so that's cool. Okay, now this tutorial is a little bit longer than I thought, Anyway, but now you know a couple of things, how to include PHP files into PHP files, but you know, you probably know that from before. You know the couple of things from official standards and not so. And yeah, see, next tutorial, well, we will grab actual CSS and JavaScript files and we will put it into our local server. So maybe you want to do some kind of customization, or you don't trust CDNs, something like that, you know, but it's totally up to you. Anyway, enough talk, enough chatting. I'm going to render and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's grab static CSS and JavaScript files from Bootstrap to work with our interactive web page, startups, project, and so on. So here's the thing, you must really be careful about these things, because if you messed one thing with JavaScript, your your site will not work correctly. Now Bootstrap is pretty much dynamic interactive thing. For example, let's type modals here. I just want to show you something. Modals are nothing but big pop-ups with options. So if we go down there to live demo, when we click on it, that's it. That's the modal. Pop-up with options. So let's grab that file. We don't need to understand everything. Those lines, either through select all or through copy. And let's paste it into our index page. Let's switch this h1 because I want to show you something. Let's change these three dots to some heading like modal test. When you save your page and go to refresh, you'll have a button. When you click on it, the thing will work, and that's nice. But see, there is a problem with this. If you mess around your JavaScript files, if they are not correctly lined here, the thing will not work. For example, if you don't have this file, see what's gonna happen. Okay, refresh, there is a button, but when we click, no functionality. Now let's go back and let's delete GQ. Right, let's delete it. What will happen? Refresh, the thing will not work. So you must be absolutely cautious about what you are doing here. And if you really just want to experiment for the sake of experimentation, I think that the best idea is to use JavaScript files from Content Delivery Network. Yeah, I mean, we will learn how to grab and set up these CSS and JavaScript files. But if you read documentation, I mean, a wiki page for Bootstrap, in a Bootstrap 5 section here, they're switching from JQ to JavaScript, native JavaScript. And I suppose, that's just my guess, that they realized that having 3 JavaScript files here at the bottom of every page, it's a little too much, it's a pain in the back, right? Now, let's go to actual files. Okay, home, download, and download, right, come on. So let's unpack it onto desktop, just a second. Oops, I already practiced that. I record this video like 7 times, I mean, it's pain in a, you know. Okay, so let's unpack it. What's inside CSS file? CSS file is fine, that he will not create problems. And what you need is a Bootstrap min CSS. But JavaScript files, you need Bootstrap min and Bootstrap bundle. Why bundle? Well, let's go to documentation for a second. CSS files comparison, right. So CSS is fine. With Bootstrap min we will get layout, content, components, utilities included. That's fine. But then JavaScript, we need Bootstrap min JS in any case, and with Bootstrap bundle we will only get Popper. Now, when you're grabbing it from delivery network, it's not bundle, it's Popper min JS. Right, so the name is also different. Okay, and Again, when you finish that, then you need to fix your JQ file. We're gonna do that, don't worry. So let's do that right here. Okay, we don't need this and this. Let's copy paste those files to place where my server resides, right? So this is my root, right? So let's just move them. Immediately we will have them into editor here. So let's include CSS min into header. The thing is really simple because name is absolutely simple. Like when you're pulling it from content delivery network, then just you need to state folder here, CSS, right? Because we have it here, and that will work. Let's test. Cool. Okay, that works. We have font. Okay, now let's go to JavaScript folder and footer PHP. Bootstrap min JS. So that's fine. That's right here. Okay, so let's delete this. And we also need to state folder and file. That's fine. Now, pooper or popper, there is none here, but there is that bundle min JS. Okay, so let's include it. JS folder, bootstrap dot bundle min JS, and let's check our page, refresh, launch demo. So that works. Now the thing with JQ, and here's the thing, you need to grab it from another place. Okay, so copy this link to your editor. Okay, right here, and let's go, you must go to core. So go to core, and now you need to select the version. So the version we need is what? 331 slim minified. Okay, where is it? Okay, 331 slim minified. Let's save link as, into same folder, into JS. This is root and this is JS folder. So let's save it. And that's cool. So let's check our editor. Okay, here it is, right? Oops. So let's remove this link to delivery network to JS and save, and let's check our page. Where is it? Okay, refresh, and now that works. Look guys, I'm gonna be honest here. If you don't have some specific reasons, just grab files from their networks, because it will save you a lot of time, it will save you a lot of headache. You will probably create something with PHP or Python, some kind of footer, and you can change that on your website once, and then the changes will propagate it all over the place. If you mess around with with your local static CSS and JavaScript files, there is great chance that sooner or later you can get into problems. Right, so my advice is just stick to content delivery network, and when you develop your startup, when you put it on the market, when you create enough money, then you can either hire someone else, or you can get into details about this JavaScript thingies, and in between maybe there will be that Bootstrap 5 thing without, probably, I just guess, without these 3 files at the end. I don't know, I'm just guessing. Well, I'm going to delete this for next tutorials. We don't need it. I will just stick to content delivery network because it just saves me time. Okay, so where I was, index, let's go to h1. Okay, I'm just preparing this tutorial for next one, and then we will actually start coding something simple so you can understand Bootstrap and not to mess around with JavaScript too much. So what else I need to change? Yeah, footer, blah blah blah. Let's go to content delivery network. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. So let's check our page. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Look guys, stick with the content delivery network. Thank me later. See you next tutorial. Hello YouTube. In this tutorial we are going to learn about Jumbotrons and contextual colors. Why contextual? Because through research we learned that some colors are important than others. For example, red will symbolize danger, blue will symbolize tranquility, or green, something like that. So some colors are obvious to majority of people that they mean something. For example, if you're in traffic and you have some red signs alongside the road, you need to pay attention and look carefully what's happening on those signs, or you will get yourself into trouble, right? So Jumbotrons, yeah, let's go with that. Okay, where is my, documentation. We're just going to grab official statement here, but Jumbotrons are basically something that is big. It's in the upper part of your website, down there from navigation, and they convey some kind of message, basically something that is important for you, for your company, some news, some important stuff, some changes, something basically good, right? So definition: Jumbotron, flexible component for showcasing hero unit style content, blah blah blah. That means this. Okay, this will be in upper part. Well, for most people in upper part of website. What's the point having Jumbotron into footer? Who will pay attention to there, right? Like people read the whole content anyway. So okay, a lightweight flexible component that can optionally extend the entire viewport to showcase key marketing message on your site. Sure, marketing message, but it can be used for anything else. Why? Because you can put many things into Jumbotron. It's not hard-coded, it's not carved in stone. You can put many things in it. And Jumbotrons can be big, but if you want to be focused, if you want to be simple, if you want to transfer some kind of message, simple Jumbotron will probably get the job done. Right, so let's go to our code and let's create one Jumbotron div, and class will be, guess what, Jumbotron. So let's see what we have when we don't have any kind of content. Okay, so this is just preparation, this is color, you know, nothing fancy, but at least you know that something will gonna happen here. So okay, what we can put here, h1, for example, Jumbotron test, and we can have some kind of p here. For example, what's the text here? Blah blah blah, something like that, right? Yeah, so this is basically Jumbotron. Now question: if they pass some kind of message, what about using it with those contextual colors? For example, how to create them so the background can be different? Do you need some kind of custom CSS here? Well, basically no, because in a Bootstrap, which is absolutely magnificent, a lot of things are basically done for you. So contextual colors, and okay, colors convey meaning through the color with a handful of color utility classes, include support for styling links with hover states to blah blah blah. Now what that means? That means that for text you will use this class text with specific color: primary, secondary, success, danger, warning, and so on. So this is for font, right? But also we need it for background. So where is it? Oh yeah, so bg primary will lead you this color. So yeah, I mean, what's the point? You see the color and you see the sentence, I mean word here. Now let's do this with our Jumbotron, and you don't need to memorize all these colors. You will well, you will learn them anyway. They're not if your primary language English if English is your primary language, then it's totally obvious to you. Maybe if you're not Englishman or American, you need to memorize these colors, but you know, they're really simple for most people to understand. Anyway, we will just use primary, success, danger, warning, info, dark, light and white, just for testing purposes to see what's happening with background and then with actual font around page. Right, so let's do that. Okay, where is my editor? Okay, so class, it's enough thing here just to say on the same line here, under same quotes, bg, for example, and let's copy paste this for later couple of times. How many of them we have actually? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, right? I'm just going to use 8 of them. Yeah, something like that. I probably hit that mark anyway. So this one, primary, let's change it to success. Okay. Success, and result is this. Now, of course, because we didn't define background color, this down there will be the same. Okay, so we have defined for this one. Let's change that. Where I was? Yeah, danger. Okay, right, obvious thing. Let's go to warning. For example, info, or what else we have? Yeah, I'm just going to copy paste this. Dark, light, white, and yeah, this one will be, I don't know, primary. Okay, so let's go to our editor to refresh things. So there you go, kids. You have your Jumbotrons, you have learned that, you have learned contextual colors, backgrounds, right? Why do you have this one default? Which is this? Just a second. Yeah, white. Okay. I probably, I thought that I forget something, but yeah, you know, I didn't. Now, yeah, how to change actual font? Well, it's easy. Just go up here and say text, for example, white, or text light, or text color. I don't know, danger, and text success. Yeah, I have it up here. Warning. I think that's cool. I mean, you know the point. You're just typing Jumbotron here, then text, then color, then BG, then specific contextual color. So you know that, right? Okay, let's refresh, and we have some kind of mess. Some colors are ugly and not appropriate here. Of course, you need to experiment a little bit and combine things, but that's pretty much it. So here's the question, yet another one. How to reposition the font here to center or right? Well, that's also easy. Somewhere here, for example, you can just say text. No, let's use it right here. Text, for example, center. It's so easy. Text right and default text left. And yep. So you can experiment a little bit, but don't rush immediately into creating your own pages with the Jumbotrons. Don't waste your time. Why? Because there are so many things in Bootstrap that you need to learn, and then you will have that overall picture of how basically in half an hour, into hour, you can create front end for your project. I mean, this is extreme time saver. I really like Bootstrap 4. Anyway, enough chatting. Oh, damn it, 10 minutes again. Anyway, see you next tutorial. Thank you for watching, for support, and yeah, so see you there. Okay, YouTube, let's talk about container, primary container where we will put our Bootstrap components and grid system. It's really easy to understand it if you look into it as a classical Excel table. Now, let me explain. When you look into Excel table, what you see is a lot of things, but those things are uniquely defined by coordinates. So we have rows and we have columns. So interchange of rows and columns will give you specific element. Same thing in Bootstrap grid. How many rows you will have, it's totally up to you, but you must have up to 12 columns horizontally on the same row, right? Now you can, you can have more than 12, but then the more than 12 will be pushed down there. Let me explain this into practice. When you're dealing with grid system, the first thing first is to create overall container class. So div container, and that's carved in Bootstrap stone. You don't mess around with this, you don't invent this. The name must be container and container fluid, but we will talk about it a little bit later. Now, how to think about this, how to remember. You know, in a classical, where is it? In a classical HTML, you have body, and useful content will go into body. But in a CSS, Bootstrap CSS, you have container. So that's analogy. Body, container. Both of those things are like general borders around useful content, right? So how to create row here? Div row, and that's also carved into stone. And now let's create column, col. So you must use this container, row, and column, and nothing else, okay? I mean, other things can be between quotes, but these are carved in Bootstrap stone, right? Let's define some kind of useful content here, like column 1 and some paragraph, like I don't know, who cares? Okay, so let's just save ourselves a little bit of time, and let's copy paste this column down there. Now we will have 2 of them, and guess what? Bootstrap will automatically save you time. I mean, it will calculate the width of same width of columns. Now let me just show that. So refresh, and now you can see that clearly. So let's, because I didn't define the backgrounds, it's easy with backgrounds. So the reason, because in the first in a latest tutorial I was introducing you to Jumbotrons and especially contextual colors, is because I know that it's easier to grasp things with colors, with background colors. So success, and down there let's see, BG warning, I don't know, something like that. It's really not important. Okay, see, they're 50% into size. Now, how many of them you can have on a cell line? 12. How you will know that they are structured equally? Well, you cannot know that, you don't have percent here, but just imagine then in every of those individual columns there are 6 smaller columns. I mean the widths of Bootstrap columns. Why? Because there is a maximum 12 of them. Then if these are 2, then 2 times 6 is 12. So let me prove this following the analogy. If we have 3 of them, the overall width will be the same. Okay, now the overall from here to here, the width will be the same, but they will be equally distributed. Check this out. Okay, so the width is same. That means that we have 3 of them times 4, 12. Okay, so let's, for testing purposes, quickly do 3 more. Okay, and 4 and 3, and something weird will happen right now because my screen resolution is not big enough. So if your screen is, when you're practicing, when you're typing this code, if your screen resolution is high, then you will have them on same line. But because in my case that's not the case, when I refresh, this will happen. Okay, but either this is still nicer. Okay, it's still nice, it's not ugly, you don't have any kind of spaces, everything is done automatically. Now question, how to remove this empty spaces from a side? We have two types of containers. The container which will yield us this result with this white space, and full width container. Container fluid, and you must type exactly that, container fluid, right? So when now I refresh my page, see, they're on same line and they are from end to end. And this is absolutely great. See, that's the point of containers. You type, one thing here and your overall web page changed drastically. Where I was. Yeah, can you change? Okay, I need to change this to 4, just a second. Okay, where are you? 4, save, refresh. Right, now, can you interchange this column with this one, or any other column with any other one? It depends how much you have them, but that's the point. The easiest thing here is to use orders, order last and order first. Let me explain this. So we want this which is 1, to order it to go totally to last position. So order last, and this down there we will order it to go first. Okay, save and refresh. See, it works. 6, 1. And that's kind of cool. Now let's just go back because I don't want to confuse you, and I also want to teach you something more. So what if for some reason, that reason, you wanna do artificial break into these lines? I mean, you wanna push, for example, columns 5 and 6 down there. Okay, so let's do this. We're also going to see things clearly, change the background colors to something else, because I want the things to be kind of obvious. Light. Okay, let's see what's happening. Right, so let's have that break between columns, between 4 and 5, and you just need to use div here w100. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So let's have it on same line because it's kind of easier to understand. Okay, refresh. There you go. Now here's yet another thing. Up to now we have left Bootstrap to calculate our widths. Now what if you want to set these things manually? For example, you want to set that, let me simplify things here. You want to set that this column will took 6 imaginary widths, and these last 2 ones will be, 2 ones, yeah, right, genius, and these 2 will be calculated automatically. So what you need to do is just type column here 6 number of widths, and let's see what will happen. Okay, so we have 50% here and 50% here because 6 columns plus 6 columns will give you 12, right? But they are arranged in 6 plus 3 plus 3, right? For some reason, if you wanted this one to be only 1, can you do this? Well, yes, of course, and you can practice, until tomorrow with this, and of course you will run into some kind of mess. So because this one will be really tight, these 2, they will be split. Well, let's see how they will be split. Okay, so I don't know exact percent here, it's totally not important, but this is kind of fixed and these are dynamic, automatic. So the general rule here is, well, at least how I think about it, is if something is really primary for you, if you want some content on your page to be, like major, then you set that width to manually, for example, 8, and you just left these other ones to be set automatically. Okay, so this one be like 8. This green one up to, like, I don't know, here, I don't know, and then these two last ones will be split into half, right? Now, can you combine multiple fixed kind of fixed widths? Well, yeah, if this is, for example, 8 and this is 1, then this one internal need to be 3. So let me just type that into code. What I was saying, this will be 8, and this one will be 1, and this one will be automatic, right? So 8 plus 1, 9, and this will be 3 into size. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And as I said, you will run into all kind of mess, so just leave it, leave it automatically to be done here. Leave it to Bootstrap, right? Think about your primary ones, set it up, and just leave the rest of them to Bootstrap to calculate. Okay. Right. So yet another thing, and we are done with explaining about grid system, and that is Jumbotrons outside of container. Right. So let's go to source and let's type div for Jumbotron, because I want you to see in what kind of issues you can run into. Okay, so test Jumbotron, something like that. It's not important. So when we save and refresh our page, we'll have basically two problems. Let me change these colors. BG will be danger and text will be light, something like that. Just a second. Yeah, that's bearable. See this here? We have border radius problem. Okay, we need to fix this, and we need to fix this margin here, margin from Jumbotron to container. So there are two ways. I mean, there are many ways, but two easiest thing to do is just type here style and border radius 0, and that will fix radius, of course. Oh, it didn't fix. Why? I forgot something probably. Oh yeah, right, refresh. So that one issue is removed. So margin bottom also 0 will get the job done. Fine, so that works. Now, if you don't want to do that into individual lines, just grab this and we will copy paste it into custom CSS. Okay, style. You can have either CSS here or in the external file. It's totally up to you. It depends what you do. So border radius 0 and also margin bottom . So say, oops, what I did wrong, sorry. Oh yeah, I need to define Jumbotron. Okay, so that was weird. Yeah, that's about it. Anyway, I don't want to bother you anymore with this. Bottom line, if you're gonna experiment with this, you probably will. Use up to 6 columns, okay? So if you go more than that, you will probably confuse yourselves, and trust me, when there is a real reason to confuse yourself, I mean professionally or for money, whatever, you will do that. But for testing purposes, just save your time with practicing for, let's say, up to 6 columns. you know. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and see you next tutorials. And I promise they will be way too simpler than this, because understanding grid system is pretty much the base of everything into Bootstrap. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up, render, and see you next tutorial. Okay, YouTube, welcome to tutorial where we will talk about how to beautify our fonts into Bootstrap. So we will use source code of this page as a base, you know, for testing purposes. So let's just delete what we don't need. We will use container, of course, and we will have that, you know, Jumbotron, why not? So let's see what we have. Right, so that's kind of cool. Now, see, this text is kind of usable. It's nice. And the moment when we go to pure HTML, it will look really ugly. Let's just do that for a split of a second here. Okay, see, it's beautiful, and when we refresh to pure HTML, ugly. Right, now let's check our source code right here. Okay, so let's test it. Cool, that works. Now let's define a couple of headings, because we want to see how to mess around with that. Okay, so H, for example, 1, and let's just do that for other headings. H3, H4, H5. Yeah, right, genius. Learn how to count. Okay, heading. Let's these headings to be uppercase. Heading H will be kind of template here. Okay, so let's copy paste it down there. Okay, 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, right? And let's see what we have. Okay, that looks kind of nice. Now here's another question. Is there a way, Bootstrap way, so without custom CSS, to create these headings even bigger? Yeah, we have that in Bootstrap, and those classes are display 1 to 4. So let's use it on every one of them, or at least on a couple of them. So class display, for example, 1, and that thing will be really big if you need it for some reason. See, now here's the thing, here's the idea. Now if you have some kind of content on your page, and that content is kind of short but still important, it's brief but still important, then you can create your whole pages into something big with short amount of text, but that thing will still look usable, it still look beautiful, it will still be nice to user eyes, right? So you can have hundreds of really short pages. For example, I don't know basically what you are doing, but with short amount of text you can create usable websites. You know, if you're just starting with your website, you're experimenting, or you just don't have too much motivation to write some kind of text, you can create a little bit of it and then put it into, you know, internet to get some kind of feedback. I don't know, you know, at least you're testing your design or something like that. Or landing pages. Yeah, with this displays 1 to 4 you can create landing pages. Really nice stuff. Selling thing, you know, on internet to sell stuff. Okay, so we have H1. Let's see what's happening if we go, for example, to H, I don't know, 4, right? Okay, still nice. Now let's just do a test here. Okay, let me stop fooling around. I'm just gonna compare them, right? Because I want you to see that difference. Maybe, you know, if you're into marketing, into selling, that probably means to you something, you know, for that landing page. See, so that's the difference between 1 to 4. I didn't change this from 1 to 4 because, you know, they are into heading 1, but see, you got that difference nicely. Okay, so display 1 to 4 is the classes They are classes that can beautify your default h1, which is by default beautiful in Bootstrap, right? Okay, so let's delete this. Just remember display 1 to 4. Now, here's the thing. Let's say that you have some kind of text which you wanna in your heading, okay, or in a pure text, where you wanna have that text like secondary, still big but secondary. So how you gonna do that? Okay, let's test here. Heading h1 or heading h1 test, and then some explanation, like that's the secondary text. Same explanation, some explanations more. So let's see how that look like. Okay, big, because we are using display 1. Let's actually delete this display 1, because it's easier to see the difference with the defaults. Okay, so see, everything is same, but you wanna this here part to be primary and this here part to be secondary. So the easiest thing you can do to save yourself a little bit of time is to type small here, small, and here you must end it with small, and that's about it, right? So let's see the difference. Okay, so you probably saw that in the you know, those news websites, so they have some kind of really nice top news here, like breaking short titles and then a little bit of explanations. So they are getting on visibility, they are saving space, but still they are like passing message to their viewers, right? Okay, so what's next? Let's see. Let's create block quotes. So from lorem ipsum wiki page, we will grab a little bit of lorem. Okay, this will be plenty, I think. Okay, let's go to our editor and let's create our block code here. So block. Okay, and when you're creating it, let me just show you what will happen. If you have just p here, okay, with lorem ipsum text, now let's see what results can we have. I mean, it's kind of ugly, it's really not important how it look like. Let's just see results. So see, this is default paragraph, right? Now it is not enough just to say block quote here. You must use class block quote, and then you will see the difference. See, this is default p in block quote without class, and we have class. See the difference. Now when you're creating quotes, you must use footer class. I mean, it will be nice to use footer class for block. That's basically block quote footer, right? So let's do this down there. For example, here, footer class block quote footer. You don't need to remember these things, you know. You have it into documentation, basically. Footer, and now here you will state the source of this. Something like, for example, wiki. Something like that. It's totally not important. And when we save it, now let's see the difference. Okay, this will remain the same because class block quote is operational, but down there, see, we have source of quote. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Now, what if for some reason you want to put user attention into some, for example, this one part of your line? So the easiest thing to do is to use mark here. Okay, let's do this. What I was talking about, ipsum dollar. Oh yeah, so ipsum dollar mark, and you need to close it. Mark. Let's save and refresh. See the difference. Now, next question. What if some part of your code you want to treat as code, some short code? Okay, you can type for example, for this consecutive tutor or something like that, you can use code on it. Where is it? Here. So code. Okay. So refresh. See, nice. If you're creating tutorial, this can be really great for you. Okay. So next thing, what if you wanna specify what key presses user need to press? Okay, let me explain that into code. So user need to press, for example, Control plus F10. F10, and at the left side you will type KBD and not KGB, and at the end KBD. You need to close it. So let's save and refresh our pages. See, excellent stuff. So I mean, if you are into creating some kind of programming tutorials and something, this will be extreme time saver, you know. Mark and code and KBD. Really great stuff this Bootstrap is. Look, I'm gonna shut up and render because this probably is a long tutorial, longer than I thought, but you know, guys, I hope that you have learned something, and as always, thank you for watching, thank you for support, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's learn what we can do with our tables using Bootstrap. So we have a couple of subclasses, I call them subclasses, so we can beautify our tables. Now this table I have prepared here because I don't want to waste your time, is a pure HTML table, no classes applied at the minute. Really simple stuff, but still enough for a little bit of practicing and understanding basics. So 3 columns and 4 rows, and that will be pretty much enough. The source code, I will assume that you know this. I mean, nothing special. We open table and then close it. We use for names of columns head, t-heads, and down there you have actual data, some random stuff, totally not important. So here's the thing, if you wanna apply default Bootstrap class here, you always must use table. Either, I mean, let me explain. I'm in type. Class table. So this is default primary major class, and you must use them even if you are using subclasses, right? So refresh, see, it looks immediately more usable. And even if you don't have big table or a lot of content on your page, still with Bootstrap you get that what's the term, the fullness of page. So it looks like, it looks nice, you know, even if couple of lines, it still looks nice, it looks usable, it looks professional, right? So that's the good stuff about Bootstrap. So here's the question, what if you want to apply some classes, or how to apply subclasses for borders around your table? So now we don't have borders, full borders, we have just these horizontal breaks like separation. Okay, so let's apply that. As I said, you always must type major class here, table, and after that subclass, I mean I call them subclass, bordered, right? So let's go and refresh. See, we have that border now. Next question, what if you have every second line here, I mean row, stripped, so if we are getting more on usability? Let me do that. So yeah, bordered, that's fine. So table stripped, or I hope that that's correct term, and refresh. See, immediately the thing is even more beautiful, right? So here's the next question, what if you want to have that hover effect? Then you need to type table again. So principle here is major table class and then table effect, table effect, table effect. So that's basically it. What was I talking about? Yeah, hover. Okay, refresh, and when we hover, it works, right? Now what if for some reason you want to switch everything to darker background? Will that look nicer? Let's see. Table, dark. Okay. Even nicer. Right. I mean, it depends about your overall background and Jumbotron in this case, but it's kind of cool. So next question. What if you want to remove absolutely every border here? How to do that? Just go and type here, switch border to borderless. Borderless. See? It's a, I don't know, you know, maybe you think that effect is not nice, but it depends where you want to apply it, okay? So I don't like it kinda, so let's just revert to normal with border. Okay, that's kind of cool. And I will also revert to normal light color. Okay, let me check, will that work? Okay, that's fine. So here's the thing, can you combine for some reason background color with everything that you have set up as a classes for your table right now? So for example, BG, I don't know, warning. Okay, let's see what will happen. Sure, fine, that works, but it's kind of ugly, but it works. You know, the point here is that we're getting that overall information, how to combine things. It's important to know that we can, if we need it, to combine these classes. And for example, text, let it be something alert or no, danger. Text will be danger. And probably it will be ugly. Yeah, it's ugly, it's hell. But that's not the point. We can combine things, right? Okay. So, how to put font left or right or in center? I mean, left is the default. So, of course, we can use here positioning. Text center. Okay, that works. And text right. And it works, you know, but I think that default or at least center is kind of nicer. So let's just go to default here. And can we do that on individual parts of our table? For example, for heading, for head, BG success, let's say. Okay, so it works, you know, I mean, you get the point, definitely. I don't need to talk more about tables, just combine things, what we learn up to next, and maybe you will have, you can write down your table setup for your real site that you're going to create. Because you can, through experimentation, you can run into some combination that you really like. And this is not, you know, appropriate, I mean, green and kind of red and I don't know. Look, so I'm just going to go to default and you can experiment as you wish, how you wish. And I think that this tutorial is pretty much clear what I was trying to say. So anyway, I'm gonna shut up and render. Thank you for watching, for subscription, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's learn how to play around with images in Bootstrap 4. So this is our testing image, simple stuff, nothing special. And that image, the name is BS4 and the extension is JPEG. That image is in the root of my website. I mean, the thing is on localhost, so it's not kind of website, we're just practicing, right? Okay, so that's kind of setup. And we will use this page from last tutorial. Jumbotron is fine, we will just remove table, so let's do that. Okay, let's grab this table stuff from here and delete it because we don't need it. Okay, let's include image. We don't need alt because we are testing, so BS4, and we of course must state extension. Okay, So that works, right? And it's by default floated to left. Here's the question: how to float it to center and right? What are the names of Bootstrap classes? So if you want to float it to right, just use class will obviously float right. Okay, refresh, and that works. Now if you use, for example, float center, will that position image into center of our page? Let's see. Okay, save, and oops, we have kind of issue. So there is no float center in Bootstrap. We need to use MX Auto, which will basically split horizontal line into half and the image will be centralized into that center of that horizontal line. Look, let's just do this into source code, right? MX Auto, save, and result. There is none. Why? Because we need to use display block here. Okay, so MX Auto and combination of display block. This is how we do that into Bootstrap. And now refresh, that works. So that's about floating, centralization, and so on. So let's leave it right here. Question: how to get rounded corners here? Can we do that in Bootstrap? Let's see. Just add here or at the end on the same line, you can do that basically rounded. And let's refresh. See, we have result. Let me zoom a little bit. Okay, so I hope that you can see that correctly on your monitor. Okay. The next question: how to turn this image into ellipse? I mean, the actual name of class is a rounded circle. Okay, so I will just add that here. Maybe you need that for some kind of album, gallery, you're practicing, something like that. So refresh, and that works. Okay, so that's kind of cool. You probably have a couple of ideas in your head right now. And next question, let's go to normal just. We don't need it. The next question is there a way, I mean, of course it is, because Bootstrap is basically mobile first, it's responsive. So how to create this image to be responsive? Because right now, if we do that, it will not work. See, it's not responsive. So what we need to do is go to our source and just add here image fluid. Okay, let's save, and oh yeah, I need to resize it. Okay, see, it's happening. So folks, that was pretty much it, what I was trying to say about playing with images. Just remember, I'm gonna type it down there, use float right or float left, and for centralization use MX Auto in combination with display block here. And if you want to create your image to be fluid, image fluid. I mean, it's kind of obvious, everything is Bootstrap is pretty much obvious, and it's not CSS, you know. And what I was, okay, I need to remember. Oh yeah, rounded. So if you want to create your image to be a little round at the end, then use rounded. And if you want to turn your image into eclipse, is that correct term in English? Eclipse, eclipse, whatever, just use image circle. Okay, where is it? Image fluid and rounded circle. Save and refresh. Let's experiment. So yep, it works. It's fluid, obviously. So that's it, relatively short tutorial. I like these short tutorials, and sometimes, you know, I just go to 10 or 15 minutes, and sometimes you need to explain some things a little bit deeper because people will say what the hell I'm talking about. But you know, there is a price to pay, so you learn your tutorial for 10 minutes and then you know this stuff, you know. I can't understand some people who are creating tutorials about C++ or assembly programming language, and then their tutorials is like 4 minutes. Right. Anyway, look, I'm gonna shut up as per usual. I'm gonna to render, and thank you for watching, for support, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's learn about Bootstrap for buttons, and I promise the thing is extremely easy. How? Well, basically you already know buttons. Why? Because when you're dealing with buttons, you will use that in combination with contextual colors, and we know that from one of our first tutorials. Right, so let me just go to editor and let's create our first basic button. We need to open it, and then we need to close it. And let's give it some kind of name, basic, something like that. Basic, what? Basic. And here's the thing, you need to declare here the type, and type is button. It's kind of obvious. It's a Bootstrap way of doing things. Don't ask me why, it's just how Bootstrap does it. Right, now let's see what will happen into our editor right now. So it's a kind of neutral. You can do this relatively easily into CSS, but let me just apply primary class here. And primary class is btn. btn. So let's see now what will happen. Wow. So I mean that's like even more basic than one before. So what happened here is that you need to use it in combination with contextual classes, or what's the term here, subclasses or contextual colors. Look, whatever, just type btn and let's say primary. Okay, and let's change the name to primary. Well, let's save and refresh our page. See, so that's it. That's full normal Bootstrap 4 button, and it works nice. So you probably have that idea about lines of buttons here, like navigation thing, and that's cool. I mean, but they, of course, they don't need to be basic like this. So you have many other colors. So if you're creating some kind of I don't know, educational website for kids, you can use the different colors here. And that can be interactive, that can be awesome for kids, you know, to mess around with your website and to learn things. But, you know, over time you will run into Bootstrap 4, there are other things related to navigation. Look, let's just stick with the buttons here. So, let me just use this line as a base for all others combinations. Okay, so let's say that we are creating secondary one, and let me see results. Okay, so let's do this for all other, I mean most of them. For example, info, and let's change this to info, and then what else we have? Warning, and what else? Danger, and what else? Like, let me think. Success. I mean that's a normal one. So let's just go with dark. I mean, you get the principle here. It's really easy. You're just using button type, button class, btn, and that's common. And this end here is also common. You need the close button, and then you just interchange subclasses. I call them classes, but whatever. What I said? I call them subclasses. Anyway, I'm losing my mind. It's heat outside. Okay, so let's just refresh our page and see. That's it. Okay, where is green one? I want to have green one. It's kind of nice. Success. Okay, cool. So we are kind of complete. whatever, that's how I think. Look, let's now operate on another things, and that is we can apply button classes to other things. For example, for input elements in HTML and for links. Let me just go to source and show that. So let's grab a couple of BRs here. We need that space a little bit, and let's create one link, for example, to, I don't know, some abstract website here, or let's just type Google, and then we need to set a role for this link, and the role will be, this is how Bootstrap does the thing, you know, you need to set roles. So role will be a button, and obviously class will be, for example, btn, just a second, btn primary or success. That's kind of nice. So let's save it and refresh our page. So that's it. Now you have a link to some website and we are applying button classes to it. So that's kind of nice. Okay, now input elements, let's create one input, and we don't need, for example, we don't need the name, and value will be input button, and the type here. Okay, so when you're applying Bootstrap to input, then you need to say type button. Okay, and some class, for example, primary one plus btn info, something like that. So let's save and see what's happening. So that works. Now, next question. Can we somehow change these buttons to have just the border in a specific contextual color, but the internal things will be white? I mean, background of button will be white, but we will have that border here around. Okay, so let's do this. The thing is extremely simple. You just need to say btn outline here, and we will apply that class to primary, and let's, for example, to last one, outline, or to middle one. It's totally not important. It's important just that you're using outline in between btn and that contextual color. Okay, so let's see. That's kind of nice. Now, next question. How to change the size of buttons? Let me just go to, I will remove this outline thing because I don't want to polluting my tutorial. Okay, so let me just check that. Cool. So let's go to how big they are. For example, for primary one, you just need to put at the end btn, again, lg. So for large, or for success, you can type btn sm for small. And let's check our results. Okay, refresh. See, big, small. So it depends what kind of things you want to do on your website, how much content you have, what's your target audience, the kids, the grown-ups, what you're trying to do basically. So now let's learn how to set our button. For example, okay, let's create here break and yet another, and let's copy paste this one, because I want to show you how to create a button to grab the full width, 100% width horizontally, full width of parent element, right? So you just need to, for example, type here btn block, and now let's see what's happening. See? So it's a full width. Okay, next question. How to turn this button into in such a way that it will look like it's pressed, it's like active. Okay, let's go to our source. The thing is really simple. In a part dedicated for class, so in double quotes, you need to state just active. Active. And let's refresh our page. Pay attention to color. See now, when I'm hovering, it gets that color. And now when I refresh, now it gets all the time that color. Okay, so that's the difference. Now, if for some reason you wanna your button to look disabled, like it's there, but you cannot click on it because something need to be done before that, like some entries in fields of form must be fulfilled. Well, how to solve that thing? Okay, let's go to editor, and outside of class you need to say disabled. Disabled. Okay, save and refresh, and now when I'm trying to click, nothing will happen. Now this is for button, but what if you are using it as a link? Okay, let me just explain what you need to do. I will just copy paste this down there. So you have a normal button functioning as, well, button, and you have link that will look as a button. So btn block, but the thing is that you need to type disabled into class. So here's the difference, and maybe that will confuse you, but that's not important because you have examples all over the place, this tutorial and official documentation. So in a case of button, the thing is outside this part here, and when you have a link, pure href, then you will put disabled into double quotes, right? So yeah, I think that I did that correctly. Refresh. And that works. Okay, the next question, and this is end of this tutorial, but it will be really interesting, how to have buttons that will spin. So here you will have that spinning thing, or the dot that will grow, so we have that like interactivity, you know. Let me just go to source code and let's create here, for example, that spinner. So button, oops, I need to open it and to close it. Button, okay. Now class, obviously a btn, for example, btn primary, and the btn size will be large, and in it, in button, we need to use span. So span class equals, and this is important, super e spinner border. You must type that always in combination with relatively same thing again. This is how Bootstrap works basically. Spinner border sm, and then we need to close it. Span, and let's see what we have. Okay, what we got. Nice. Let me just remove this because I want to see that difference. Maybe something is not working. Oh yeah, it's working, but the thing is small, so you know, I'm just tripping. What I was talking about, yeah. Next question. What will happen if you want a thing which will look like it's growing, like dot that is dynamically growing, something like that? Now you need to change source code to grow sm, for example. Did I save it? Oh no, I need to change this to grow too. Sorry. Okay, and now it works. This SM can also be turned into LG, so it's totally up to you. Okay, see the difference. You can combine things, right? Now it depends what you're trying to achieve. Okay, let's have one break here. I need to do that because if I don't, then it will look like kind of ugly. Right, okay, it's kind of bearable, but I think it's better with small. Okay, so what if you wanna have not just effect here, you also wanna have some kind of text? Well, the thing is extremely easy, just add the text down there. For example, thing is loading. Thing, yeah, that's the correct term. So okay, that's it. Let's change this to large to see what kind of effect we have. Maybe it's nicer, I don't know. It's kind of cool. Let's change this to border, and then also this part needs to be changed. Okay, refresh, and that's awesome. That's nice. Now you have probably some kind of idea about some forms and some interactivity with additional JavaScript or PHP or Python or whatever you have. Now yet another question, and I'm going to shut up and render as usual. How to disable it? I don't know your reason, but it's good to know that you have that option. So the thing is simple, just here add disabled. I mean, absolutely, sorry, not here, into this line, because we're dealing with buttons here. Okay, button here, disabled here, and button here, disabled here, for these normal buttons that will take a full width horizontally, Boolean blocks, right? So where I was, yeah, I want to have that disabled. Refresh, and see, it changed the color. And let's just compare how that look like one along each other. Maybe you want to do that for some reason, like I will be back, I'll be back, something like that. Let's have it activated and grow and grow. Save, refresh. So that's cool. Yeah, I think that this tutorial is pretty much long enough and I got you bored, I don't know, but you know a couple of things here. You definitely know how to work with buttons, and even better, you know what kind of questions you will ask on internet. So yeah, that's about it. Let's render and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's use source code from last tutorial to test, to group buttons. Now we have everything fine here, everything is working, but we want to have a concatenation between buttons, and that's where we will use button groups. So let's go to our source code and let's clean it a little bit up to here, I guess. Okay, save, and let's test it. That's fine. Let's fix the sizes here and here because I don't like it. So we will just remove this BTN, SM and LG, and now everything will be fine. Nice. So we have preparation. Okay, now the thing is really easy. Let's separate these groupings into, these button listings into two groups. Okay, and first group will be into div, and that's how you create button groups. BTN group. Okay, and of course we need to close it, and also same thing down there. Div class BTN group div, and let's see what kind of result we have. So that's kind of cool, that's nice. You can use it for some kind of navigation if you like. Yes, I know there are better solutions, but maybe you just don't want to mess around with navbars in Bootstrap, you just want to use buttons. that will work as links. Something like that. It's totally up to you. Now, question: how to change automatically on all buttons their sizes? Okay, the thing is really easy. Just add here btn group. Yes, I know we are typing again, but that's Bootstrap thing, so you need to repeat a couple of things here. That's what you have when you're working with frameworks. You need to do stuff their way, and they give you a lot of options, and they save you a little bit of time, but you need to learn workarounds, quirks and stuff. So let's go to sizes, btn group lg, and then down there we can also btn group small. Okay, let's refresh, and there you go, that works. So here's the question, next one. Let me just revert to normal, because I like to work without too much pollution on my screen. Okay, here's the question: how to turn both of these, for example, into kind of vertical navigation, I mean vertical button groups. And the thing is also easy. Just type here vertical. And the interesting thing is that you will have both of these groups on the same line, horizontally. One will be horizontal and one will be vertical, first one, but they will be on the same line. Okay, see? Cool stuff. Now let's do that also for second one, and the result will be pretty much the same. They will be on horizontal line. Well, you can think about that in that terms, right? So you will never probably in production combine these things in such a way, but it's good to know that you can do this if maybe you need this one day, or it's just funny exercise, whatever. So let's adjust for the next tutorial when we will transfer these first groupings into drop-down menu. Let's delete second group because we don't need it. It will pollute our screen. And the thing is very simple. Let's just go to horizontal setup. Right. Now this one, first one button, you need to set it as a, well, menu. Okay. The button for menu, where when you click it, you will get into another options. So the thing is that right here we need to type drop down toggle, and outside of quotes you need to type data toggle equals drop down. That's what you need to do. Now this is one part of the story, and that works. So let me just check that. Okay, we have these secondary ones in preparation. We need to operate on them, but we have for menu we have arrow down there, so that's kind of fine. And let's turn these three into actual links. But before doing that, we need to define actual drop-down menu, and we need to use class for it into div. I mean, where else? So class drop-down menu, and now of course we need to close it. And now let's use, for example, this one as the source for our links. Okay, so I will just remove these three, and we don't need button here, but href, and the class will be, check this out, drop down item with specific link, of course, I forgot that. And let's say the name will be, I don't know, submenu, something like that. It's really not important. Okay, so let's copy paste them a couple of times just to have something to work with. So that's clean. Okay, I think that I'm fine. So I have set up this one as a primary. That's cool. And this, then I open drop down menu, then I close it, and I have a couple of submenus here. Right, so let's check our result. Okay, and that works. So that's kind of nice. Now here's the question. If for some reason you wanna change their backgrounds when they are operational, can we do that? Okay, let me see. So btn will be primary class, and then btn, well, primary or success, something like that. Okay, refresh, and now you have it. Maybe you like it, maybe not, I don't know. It is important that you can use it if you need it. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Now here is the thing. What if you wanna split this button into two parts? Left part with the title of button, I mean with name button, and right side with arrow, and only when you click on arrow the thing will then be activated, and not when you click on this text right here. Can we do that? Well, yeah. So the thing is, well, it's not confusing, you just need to practice a little bit. See here, let's just copy this up to here, so at the top, okay, and from this one will remain named as menu, and this one will remove, and this part here will be also remove. Okay, so we will just have name, okay, button, the normal button, and then to that button we are like adding this arrow option. Now the thing is that inside the quotes here you need to add again drop down toggle, but split. Okay, and let's push things down there. Okay, so that's cool. And now here, when you will normally put the name of button, you need to put something else there, and that's the span or span was the correct term in English, with class carrot or carrot, I don't know, something like that. So span, I think that's correct term, correct me if I'm wrong, and let's split again this thing for brevity. So this will be totally same, we didn't change that, we just split things into half. The primary thing here is the primary button, normal button, okay, and then that button plus another button which doesn't have any kind of text here between opening button and closing button, we have just span. Okay, and in this second kind of button we need to add drop down toggle split. So it's a kind of easy to understand after you create a couple of errors basically with it. Nothing special. I mean, this is not pointers in C++. Okay, so let's refresh, and I hope that I didn't create error. So when I click on menu, it's there but nothing happens, but when I click on span, then there you go. Let me just change this color. Okay, yeah, so that's cool. Look, I don't want to bother you anymore. You probably know how to mess a lot with buttons and button groups, so I'm going to shut up, render, and as always, thank you for watching, thank you for support, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, welcome to the tutorial about progress bar in Bootstrap 4. We will just use this page, and let's delete this button, we don't need it anymore, so we have a little bit of space to work around. And the question is, can we go to create progress bar immediately? Well, no, because first thing is that we need to create progress bar general container, and that will be div with specific progress class, not progress and nothing else. And let's see what we have. Refresh. See, we have 100% width of progress bar, default progress bar, that need to be fulfilled with actual color. And you cannot just state that right here into progress general container. You need to create actual progress bar div, dedicated one, right? So progress bar, and with a little bit of custom CSS, we will define width. Width will be, for example, 50%, and it's logical to use percents and not pixels when you're dealing with, well, progress bars, right? And let's refresh, and there you go. Now, this is a little bit ugly. Let's have a couple of breakers here, like breaker 1, breaker 2. Okay, that's a little bit more bearable. Next question, what if you wanna have multiple of progress bar one after another? And you will say, oh, that's easy. I've just copied this line down there, and let me fix those divs. We need to have it. We need to have ends here. And let's change percents to something logical. 10, 20, 40 will pretty much represent what I'm trying to say. But we don't have 3 progress bars. So we have a combination of percents here, but not 3 progress bars. Well, the thing is, well, I mean, you need to have general container for individual progress bars. So let's use this as a pretty much template, and this one will be 10, this one will be 20, or let's change it to something higher, for example. Yeah, I think this will be much nicer. And refresh, and now problem is we don't have breaks here, right? Let's save and refresh our thingies, and that works. Okay, so what if for some reason, for example, your target audience is, they are kids or older people, they need to have bigger things on screen to, you know, your page to be usable. So you need to go to style, individual style, and define dedicated heights or heights. What's the term in English? Height, for example, 25 pixels for this first one. Okay, refresh, and no results. Why? Because you need to define also the same thing for general progress container here. So style and height 25 pixels, and now we will have our results. That works. So let's push it up to double to see things better, maybe. Okay, so that works. Here's the question, what if for some weird reasons, and I definitely want to know about those reasons, if you want the general container to be higher than actual progress bar? So let's do that, for example, up to 75 pixels. And you can do that, but the thing will be, I mean, pretty much ugly and unusable. I mean, what's the point of in having progress bar and then to look it complicated? There is no point, but you can do it if for some weird reasons you need it. So let's just stick to default, right? Now, next question, how to define different colors? Do you need to use some kind of custom style? Well, no. You just use contextual colors here. So success one and BG like danger, and then down there BG alert, for example. Okay, now let's refresh, and now you know also that. So how to have stripped progress bars. For some reason you like it and you wanna have them cut here with those lines, like what's the term in English? Slashes, not slashes, but backslashes, something like that. I don't know. So the thing is that up here, for example, you need to say BG, stupid me, progress bar stripped, and then you will have results. But let me just clear this confusion here, because I want you to pay attention to this one. And there you go. So next question is, can you have this thing animated? Well, yes, just we will use again progress bar, and well, animated, and let's refresh, and it works. So let's pump it up to I don't know. Am I here using? Oh yeah, I need to define. Oh, wrong thing. Sorry, down there. For example, for 50 pixels, maybe that will look nicer. Okay, so that's cool. What I was talking about next? Yeah. So can you have in the same progress bar couple of levels or steps? Well, let's keep our animation here. We will just go to check couple of more progress bars. You don't need to type it, just copy paste it if you are following what I am doing. And then we need to define widths, for example 20 pixels and 40 pixels and 80 pixels. Let me just check to see did I get any results. Yes, so I have them more than I need because I'm stupid. It goes like 10 and 20 and then 40, and then we will see that difference up to 100. Okay, see, but no different colors. So let's just define that individually. For example, this one is fine, this one will go to danger, and this one will go to warning or something like that. Okay, see, that's cool. So for simplicity, let's just remove this animation. We don't need it, it's polluting our space right now. So let's just have, and also this strip thing, we don't need that. So let's just see what we'll have with pure colors. That's cool, that works. Okay, now how to have titles, I mean names for our levels, like you want to have some labels or text inside of our colors. Okay, we need to just, well, to put these things into divs, right? So I will just use first here and second and third, something like that. Now let me fix this thing a little bit here, because I want to see everything on the same line. I think that we are cool right now. Okay, browser, refresh, and there you go. So that's pretty much that about progress bar. Just remember, when you're using it, create it into general progress container, I mean class, and then individually you can combine them in same progress container only if you want to mess around with different colors on same line. But if you need them horizontally stacked one after another, then create progress container individual for individual progress bars. Okay, so that's the general idea here. Okay, and last advice, please by all means stick with the percents. It's much easier to work with percents than bust your mind with how many pixels you need. Don't calculate it, leave it to Bootstrap and to browser, use the percents and you will be pretty much fine. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and render and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's learn about Bootstrap for badges. Now we will combine those badges with what we learned in one of our first tutorials, display 1 to display 4 classes for headings, for titles. Well, let's combine that. So here's the question. How to turn part of title, of heading, for example, into badge. Let me just type. So heading h1 test, and we're grabbing this test and turning it into badge. So span here, or span was the term in English, correct me on this one, class badge, and you cannot just type badge here, you must combine it with contextual class. So badge, for example, success, and of course you need to close it. Oh no, span. And now let's go to our page, and yep, that's what I was talking about. Not just that you can beautify it, but you can also turn it into actual badge. So let's just hire this thing up, I mean all thing up, to display 1. Why? Because badges will took the dimensions that are defined by dimensions of parent, right? So they cannot be bigger, right? So let's just go to class display 1, and that will be pretty much huge. Yep, and that's kind of nice if you're practicing, maybe into production too. I don't know, it's nice that you can use it if you need it. Okay, so that's the one part of the question. Now, how to have left and right side here like rounded, right? So the thing is extremely simple here. Just add here a badge pill, and that's official name. I mean, that's the class, right? So when you're searching for examples, you will type badge pill, Bootstrap for examples, and you will remember that easily when you combine it with that scene from Matrix when that guy is offering Neo some kind of pills. I don't know if that's illegal or not. I'm not into pills too much, I mean at all, whatever. So let's just refresh our page. See, that's what I was talking about. So let's play a little bit of Matrix here. Let's have two pills, two rounded pills. How they look like. For example, you can also remove totally this primary part of heading, and then you will be left with pills. So what was it? White one or green one or blue and red? I don't know. Primary, and is that red? No, not red, but warning. Warning. Let me just refresh. Oh no, it's not warning, it's danger. So don't take pills, kids, because you will be confused. Yeah, so that's it, like our own Bootstrap 4 matrix, something like that. Anyway, I'm babbling. Look, you can combine these badges inside of, for example, buttons. How? Let's delete these two lines because pills are no good for young brains, as they say. So button, right? So button type will be button, and class btn plus btn, for example, primary, because we need that blue color and we need to close it. So let's push it down there because we need the place for span. Span class badge, for example, light, and we will put here some, for example, number of posts that we are pulling from database, like 225. You cannot write that number of posts in 1 week, even if you're on some pills, so don't experiment with it yourself, don't push too hard. So let's see what we have, and that's kind of cool, but we don't have a name for button. I overlooked that, so let's add it right here. For example, posts, number of posts, something like that. Save and refresh, and that's kind of cool. This can be useful, you know, when you're creating some kind of when you're practicing your first CMS and you don't want to mess around with CSS and JavaScript. I mean, when you're dealing with backend and with databases, with PHP and Python or something else, the last thing you want to do is to switch your mind between backends and front-end stuff like CSS and JavaScript. That's not good place to be mentally. When you're focused on backend, just do backend and outsource the front-end thing to Bootstrap 4 or other front frameworks, you know. Don't confuse yourself. Some people say, oh, you need to know CSS from ground zero to everything. Well, you know, what's the point of having front end if your back end sucks? So yeah, just use Bootstrap 4, and then when you are, you know, ready or making enough money, you can change your Bootstrap 4 to custom CSS if you like. I mean, you will be really happy kid in a neighborhood if you need to change Bootstrap 4 to custom CSS because loading reasons of your website. That means that you will grab hundreds of dollars like daily in the traffic, right? So that will be a beautiful place to be, you know. Anyway, I'm just going to shut up. You guys have learned pretty much all what you need to know about badges. Let's just change this to, you know, BTN large to see how it look like it's big. Okay, yeah, nice. So that's about it, you know. I really don't have anything to say more about badges, you know, about pills. You don't buy pills from me, kids. So look, in the next tutorial, which will be also short and simple, we will learn about alerts. They are extremely simple but useful Bootstrap 4 stuff. They will just help you to pass some kind of message to user. But you know, that's the topic for another discussion, for another tutorial, next one, and I will finally shut up, render, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, welcome to Bootstrap 4 tutorial on alerts. And just let's go through quick theory explanation. Alerts are something that is critical for user of your website. Some critical, simple, direct information. They can be in range from successful to danger to warning, something like that. For example, you have 100 bitcoins to sell on some website automatically, and when you do that, the website will, on refresh of your account, inform you that the operation is done and that you have dollars and euros or on whatever on your bank account. Something like that. So let me just shut up. I mean, I can't shut up, I'm creating videos, so let me just go to source code, and when you're creating alerts, of course, that will be div with specific class, and you're guessing it's a Bootstrap thing that when you have alert class, you will combine that with contextual class again. So alert success, because you have sold that 100 bitcoins, and let's put success into strong here. So it's general information, success, and you have details like you just sold 100 BTCs or whatever the name is for bitcoins. I don't know. I will be pretty happy kid if I have 100 bitcoins to sell automatically. Okay, but you know, life is weird thing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. messing around with cryptocurrencies. So let's just refresh our page and see we have alert message that will range that will took the whole width of parent. So from 0 to 100% everything is that alert if you didn't put it into some small parent, right? So let's just push this message down there a couple of lines, because maybe that will be more nicer. Okay, so now let's go through really briefly through all other contextual combinations here, and I will just turn this into general kind of alert. For example, pay attention and something important here. Okay, I think that's kind of cool. So let's just copy paste it a couple of times to see the difference, and let's interchange these contextual stuff like danger and warning and and info and primary. I think you get the point. I mean, when you're using contextual classes, you just combine them with other components from Bootstrap, right? So that's the general idea. And refresh and see, cool stuff. So you have different kind of backgrounds. I don't know if you can see this, or my monitor is totally weird. But yeah, you can combine different backgrounds with fonts and so on. So let's actually do that, for example, here. Let's combine contextual alert class with background contextual class. Can we do that? For example, yeah, I have a couple of times success here. Just a second. Warning, and let's change this one into light, because I want to see that background thing clearly. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, you get the point. You can experiment. So let's change background of this one to something else. So the question is, can we combine those things? For example, alert light plus bg info. Or maybe that will be stupid, but will probably work. Okay, so yeah, it's stupid, it's ugly, but it will work. You get the point. That's the most important thing. Okay, still ugly. So let's just go to for example, I don't know, danger, and that will yield us a more ugliness. So alert light. Nah. Anyway, look, enough playing. I will just grab these couple of ones and let's delete them, because let's just operate on this last one. I want to show you something basically. So how to turn this alert into dismissible alert. So there will be like X here, so you can click it, the alert will gone basically. The thing is that you need to combine in this line alert primary plus alert dismissible. To S and dismissible, right? And that's not enough, because let's see what will happen. Okay, refresh, and nothing happens. Why? Because we don't have a button. So every time when you're creating dismissible alerts, you will need a button. For example, here, and of course type will be button, and class need to be close. Now don't try to memorize these things, because you have them all over the place on internet, into documentation and so on. So don't just expect from yourself that you will memorize everything into programming languages and CSS and frameworks. Just you know, you can Google it. Google, for example. So, and next thing is data dismiss. and that will be alert. And again, don't even try to memorize these things. Okay, and here you need to put times and close it, and then you will have your results. Okay, see, there is cross here, so when you click on it, bang, we don't have our alert anymore. And that's pretty much all for this tutorial. Just let's create animated alerts. So for example, when you click on X, it will slowly fade, and that thing is extremely simple to do. Just type here fade show, and again, don't try to memorize these things. Refresh and let's see. X, you know, that's like slight alert disappearing in universe somewhere. Anyway, I think that was really short, relatively short tutorial. The thing is pretty much simple. Combine alert with contextual class, and if you have it dismissible, just type this, and if you want a little bit of like a dynamic thing, you can just type fade show, and most of the people just do that by default. So anyway, thank you for watching, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's learn about Bootstrap for list groups, and they are extremely simple to understand. So let's just go to our source code, and we have a couple of breaks here to push things from container down there, and let's create a bunch of lists. So we are not talking about links, about hrefs, we're talking about just primary basic lists. And UL, unordered list general class, must be list group. Okay, so that's the one thing that you must type. Now for individual things, for li's, you must also apply class here, which will be will list group item. So don't curse me for this amount of typing. That's just Bootstrap 4 thing. List group for general thing, general class, and then individual list group item classes. Okay, so this will be like a template for us, and let's push it down there, and let's call it first and second and third. And let's see what kind of mess we have right now on our page. Okay, cool. So this is classical, the most primitive but still successful linked list. Lists. So here's the question: how to create in correct way lists of actual links? So this is just basic stuff. See, we cannot click, we are using LIs, but we need now to turn this into hrefs. Okay, so let's delete this completely because I don't want to confuse us, and we'll use div because we are creating some kind of I don't know, sidebar here for some of your website if you are going to create some tutorials on your own, or whatever you want to do. So list group and href with some abstract website here, and then class must be list group item. But check this madness, you also need to type list group item active. Okay, so don't curse me for this amount of typing. Sorry, not active but action, right? And let's use that as a template all over again. For example, okay, so this will be like link 1, or let's use the term here posts. So we're like kind of creating some content management system, and we are pulling the number of posts from posts from categories. I don't know, who cares? So posts A, and okay, let's copy paste that down there. and down there this will be C and this will be B. So let's see what we have basically, or just a second, post from and from and from. Yeah, maybe that will look nicer, I don't know, who cares. So refresh, and now not just that, that you have these working as links, obviously you also have that default hovering effect. So some people will say, well, you know, is there any way to apply contextual colors on those? Well, of course it is, but we have two ways, the funny way and normal way. The funny way will be, you just say, okay, like you just say here BG, for example, success, and guess what, that will work. Okay, see, it will work, but that's not the right way for doing things. And now you will say, well, what's the right way? The right way is to type again list group item and then contextual color, and then you will see the difference. Now see, this was not correct way, and when I refresh, then this is correct way. Okay, so it's some variation of green, blue, I don't know, whatever it is, but just remember, then there is no point in typing here BG success or BG warning, because when you're using list group primary, then you need to use list groups all secondary, backup, subclasses, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so don't combine things, because you don't need to do this combination, weird combination, like general contextual color when you have individual contextual color for individual component in Bootstrap. So that's the general story. Yet another thing, let's just go to default. Okay, so what if for some interesting reason you want to say here BG success? Okay, let's see what will happen. So see the difference, see this little green dot here, I mean radius. So let's just zoom it. Okay, see, the thing is green, so that's kind of ugly and totally unusable. You don't want to do that probably. Okay, and what will happen if you here type list group item success for some reason? I mean, you're experimenting, so will that work? No, it will not work. Why? Because this thing is for items and not for general containers, right? Okay, cool. So next question, what if you wanna some individual thing here to look it's activated, like end user is on your page and in a sidebar you must state that the person is there because it's easier for navigation. So of course you will just type active here, active, and refresh, and there you go. Really cool, nice, time-saving stuff. You don't need to mess around with custom CSS if you don't have to. I mean, it's a better idea, well, at least in my mind, to focus yourself on a business model or on backend when you have these Bootstrap 4 things set up for other people. I mean, other people set it for you so you can use it. Yeah, that's the correct way of thinking, right? Now let's, for example, disable both B and C. Can we do that? Yep. So disabled and disabled, and let's refresh our page, and now you will see, well, there is no difference. Well, there is a difference. See, for the first thing you can hover it and something change, but for B and C nothing happens, right? But what will happen if, for example, you combine in this disabled state individual contextual backgrounds? Let me just play around with that a little bit. So list group item success. Okay, refresh, and nothing happens, and I typed everything correctly here, I think. But when you go to default, you will see the result. Okay, and when you type active here, will that be any different? Okay, let's see. So it is different. So little subtle things and combinations matter here, right? And this is kind of nice. So let's just transfer this to info, or no, primary. Maybe that will look even nicer, I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Cool stuff, you can play around. So let's go to something interesting here. Just let me clean this source a little bit. Now, how to turn this vertical kind of sidebar into horizontal navigation with in a really short way. You just need to type here list group horizontal on a general div, and save and refresh, and there you go. That's kind of nice. Now, is there anything here that I want to tell you more about? Okay, let me see. Oh yeah, so how to turn how to combine these with badges, links with badges. Okay, let's go to default vertical kind of sidebar. Let me test that if everything is fine. Okay, so let's turn this into kind of posts from categories, and here you will have that badge with number of posts. Yeah, so that's the general idea. Okay, so we will need a little bit of space here, and actual span, badge, will go here. So span class, that will be badge, badge and badge again, pill for example, and the color can be primary, and then we need to close our badge, and let's put the number of posts, for example 15. Let's also do that for other links here in a split of a second. So let's push that down there. You don't need to do this, basically we're just practicing, so it's totally up to you. And you have these examples from this my tutorial. You can just pause it, or you can grab it from all over the place on internet. So let me just push that down there, and let's see what kind of results we have now. Okay, so we have pill. That's cool, but it's not on the right side. So here's the question: what you need and where to add to push these badges up to right side. And the thing is that up here for general href, for example, here you need to type deflex. Don't try to memorize these things. Again, you just have that on Bootstrap documentation and on internet, right? So deflex, and couple of more things. Justify content in between. And now let's see what will happen. Okay, when I refresh, the thing goes to right, but this is kind of ugly. Let me just zoom. See, the 15, the number is totally up, totally up in a badge at the top. That's ugly. Let's change that, because there is a way to change that. Okay, we can leave it at this zoom level. So the thing is that you need to type again align well items center. Okay, and refresh, and there you go. It's a little nicer. So let's do the same thing for all other hrefs here. Deflex, reflex, whatever. Bottom line here. First, if you're creating this, if you're repeating me, emulating me, whatever, just first fire up these list group thingies. List group plus list group item action and all other list group stuff, and then when you're done with that, then go with the badge, then go with the 50% of these href source dedicated to deflect, justify, align, and so on, blah blah blah. So first set everything correctly with these basic like groups dedicated for list group, classes, and then mess around with badges and positioning and how beautify it is. First create it to be in working order and then beautify it. Well, at least that's how I think. Maybe you like beautiful things that doesn't work. I don't know. I mean, it depends, you know. Sometimes you're just practicing, messing around, something like that. So who cares? Yep. So let's refresh, but zoom to 100%. Refresh, and that's kind of cool. And can we use here, yeah, some other color? I don't know, maybe it will look more nicer, like danger or warning. I don't know. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I think 50 minutes, damn it. Not again, long tutorial. Anyway, I'm going shut up, render. Thank you for watching, for subscription, for support, for sharing on social networks, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's learn about navigation, pagination in Bootstrap 4. So let's start with unordered list with specific class in this case, which will be, well, pagination, and we'll have a couple of leis or lees, what's the correct term? I don't know. Now these lees in this specific pagination case must be with the class, guess what? Page item, which is relatively similar to our last tutorial when we were learning about list groups. So we will also need to have one link here, and link will go to some, I don't know, abstract website here. We need to close it, classical HTML stuff, and the class will be, well, page link. And don't try to memorize these things. You have that in documentation. I mean, I do know that in Bootstrap 4 a lot of things look similar, but you know, you don't need to force yourself to learn every single detail, because you know, we have documentation and stuff. So this one will be previews. I mean, let's just use this one li as yeah, well, I think that's cool as a template. So previews, and then this one will be like 2, and this down there will be 3, and this will be next. I mean, the thing is really not important here how you call it. It's important that you know what kind of class you need to use. So let me just, yeah, I think that's cool, and that font size is kinda nice. So yeah, something like this, I don't know. Okay, so let's go to our page, and there you go. This is really simple stuff, and we have this spacing here vertically because we have breaks from last tutorial here operational. Now here's the question: can we and how to make any of these, for example, numbers here active? Well, the thing is pretty much standard here. For example, for this number 3, or let me just have number 1 also here. Let me copy paste this line, because if I don't have number 1, somehow I feel really bad, like I'm not starting from what I need to start. So yeah, active, for example, number 2 will be active here, and when you save and refresh our page, yep, you have, you know, primary class, contextual primary class operational here. So here's the question: can we make it disabled? Because you probably wanna do that in one of your CMSs. You can just type disabled. Disable. Let's go to our page, and there you go. So you see there is a slight difference here. So this is kind of blue, this is blue, you can hover over it, and this too is like kind of silent. So that's not operational at the moment. Okay, so next question, what if you don't like size of it for some reason? Can you change it? Well, just go to primary UL class here and add pagination large or small or extra large, something like that. Pagination LG. Okay, let's see. So that's cool. If you don't have too much content on your page, you can fulfill it with common details, common things, right? So that works. Okay, let's now put our pagination, which is common thing, into center. For example, you are creating your own CMS, and most of the CMSs do have pagination in center, because for example, for a news website, they have a lot of content, so you will have a lot of these numbers down there, and then it's logical just to put things into the center. So let's do that. Let's just go to normal width size of our pagination, and the thing is that right here you need to add justify content center. Okay. Let's say and refresh, and the thing work. So question is, will you use justify content right to put it right? Well, let's just test it. So if you type right, something weird will happen. Okay, it goes to left. Why? Because, well, Bootstrap has his own quirks, so you need to type not right here but end. Don't ask me why. This is just Bootstrap 4 thing, so yeah, it's an end now. Now let's go to normal stuff, and that's pretty much the story of pagination. Now there is yet another thing, and that's breadcrumbs, so let's do that right here. I will just for simplicity delete this whole URL and create a new one with class, obviously breadcrumb. And I hope that I typed that right. Yeah, I think. So we will also have liaise with class, appropriate class here, which is breadcrumb item. So the analogy here is, if you have primary class down there, you will have that class plus item. So that's kind of analogy, something like that. Okay, and let's have href here with link to some abstract website, and we need to close it. And what will be the title, name? Let's say year here for posts, and the next level will be a month, and the next level will be day, for example, half of the month, and the next level will be actual title of posts in your CMS, like how to do something like that. It's totally up to you. So save and refresh, and there you go. So it works. Now there is yet another thing that I wanna tell you. When you're creating these breadcrumbs, don't forget to have here just crumb and not s, because of course there is no such class. So when you type it, you will get something that will look like a breadcrumb, but it will be ugly. It will take a lot of space here, see? So that's kind of cool. Let's just go to simplicity, and here's the question: can we combine BG contextuals here, like success? Let's see what will happen. Okay, we can, but it's kind of ugly, so you need to experiment a little bit to get to that nice background, or even dark. Okay, yeah, but you get the point. You can even go to white, and then you will have just this case without any kind of borders if you need it. But let's just stick with default, because Yeah, we're just saving our time, so who cares? Okay, so that's about it about pagination and breadcrumb kind of navigation. Really simple stuff. So I'm going to render, and as always, thank you for support, for subscription, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's learn about the Bootstrap 4 cards, and they are absolutely awesome. Why? Because they can look like you have couple of pages inside of your page. I mean, let me just go to editor, and soon you will understand what I'm talking about. So we must type major primary div here with the class card, and when you save and refresh, here is the thing which will happen. Okay, you think that this is one line, but that's not the case. These are actually borders. So when you're creating cards, you cannot just have this primary card here. I mean, what's the point? You must combine that with card body. So div, again, card body. And now we will type a couple of some kind of content. Now that content need to be specified using individual class dedicated for cards. For example, this will be card title. Okay, and down there we will have one paragraph. Oh yeah, I need to put some kind of content here. For example, title for this card. I'm not totally, creative, but who cares? Let's just go to the meta stuff. P must be with the class card text and something usable here. Okay, and also let's have one link which will look like a button. So class btn, and color will be btn primary, and content will be link to some website. Okay, so that's the most simple scenario. Okay, save and refresh. See, now here's the thing. When you don't specify width, the width will be pushed to 100%. So it is always advisable. I mean, most of the people use cards limiting the width, either with pixels or with percents. So let's just go to, yeah, this part here, and let's style it a little bit. So width will be 500 pixels. Okay, you can also play around with percents if you like. See, so we have border here, and that's kind of nice. Now, interesting thing with cards is that, as I said, they can be like web page inside of web page. You can have header for card and footer for card, and let's do that here, up here, because it's normal between major div and beginning of actual content in card body class. So div, and class will be card header. Okay, and then we need to have some kind of content like header for this class, card, and also the same stuff for footer. So let's just copy paste that down there, yeah, here, and let's change this to footer. Now, don't try to memorize these things. You know, there are so many options here, card this, card that. You know, you can have that, you can find that on the internet all over the place. So don't push yourself memorizing these things, because you have probably better things to do, like thinking about overall business plan for your website, whatever. You have these things in documentation, basically in my tutorials and in other people's tutorials. So yeah, let's just refresh our page and see we have automatically defined a little bit of background, which is different than background for car body. Now, this card looks pretty much boring. So let's put, because we can, and it's advisable to do so because of usability, let's put some image here. So okay, we will go down there from header, and we will put image with source. What was the name of my, I think BG 4 JPEG. Okay, and class must be card EMG top. Okay, I think that I'm cool. I don't need this alternative text here. Okay, let's see what's gonna be. Oops, so that's not the name of my image. What was it? BS. Yeah, I think. So that works. That's kinda nice, pretty much. Now, next question. When you click on the button, of course, that will lead you to some website. But is there any way to have all card clickable? Well, yeah. So let's just go to this link here, okay, the only one. And the thing is that you need add here, I hope that I correctly type this, stretched link. Save, yeah, save and refresh, and now everywhere you go in your card you will have that possibility to click. Now, next question. Can you change backgrounds for individual parts of your card? Well, of course. For example, for header you can just type BG info, why not? And down there for footer you can just say BG light, or not BG light, BG warning. So let's see what kind of mess we have right now. Yeah, cool stuff. I mean, I'm not too much into colors, you know, I'm not classical designer. I basically suck into design, but you know, I'm more into background stuff, backends and so on. So let's just change this here font to text light. Maybe we'll have some useful stuff. Yeah, something like this. I don't know. It's totally up to you. Now, next question. If you have a couple of those, I mean, how to get a couple of those cards one alongside each other horizontally? Because if you copy paste this card down there, the result which will we have is this. So we have one card and another card stacked vertically, and that's not good. So the thing is that you need to enclose all your cards into another div, and that div will be with class columns. So let me just type that here, div class card columns, and let's close it down there. For example, here, let's save and refresh our page, and now this thing works. But if you're careful enough, you will notice the difference between this border and this border is not equal with difference between this border and this border. And the thing is that we don't have, when we are applying card columns class, we don't have full automatization here. So question is how to do that? Well, either we can tinker manually, for example, using card columns here, for example, lowering down to 400. I think that will be cool. So that's one option which is kind of manual. See, so that's bearable, that's cool. So let's also have yet another, I think from here to here, yet another card. Okay, so that works. But here's the question, is there any other way to do this? Well, yeah. And the thing is that you need to substitute, if you don't need it, if you don't mess around manually with stuff, substitute card columns with card decks. okay, I mean card deck. And now when you refresh your page, you will see some slight differences, okay. And now when you refresh your page, I mean when you resize, see, the thing works. I mean the thing basically works. Yes, we did set up here width, okay, but that will be kind of overwritten. So let me just go to 500%, I mean pixels, for you to see what's gonna happen. So basically when you're using card decks here, you are forcing your elements to stack automatically on horizontal line. Okay, refresh, and that also works. But the moment when you go to card columns, let me see. Let's see what will happen. Problem. Okay, so the most of the people will just go with card X here. Okay, let's save and refresh our page again. So that works. Now let's combine a couple of these, like we are creating a news website or some product website, something like that. Let's just grab everything, okay, up to here, and let's copy that down there with, for example, normal backgrounds. So let me just delete this part, and that will be also this, and yeah, this part. So you know, that's just to see the difference between stuff. Okay, so that's cool, that works. I mean, it's totally up to you to practice. So this border here is stacked on each other, so let's have a couple of breaks. I mean, one break will pretty much enough here. For example, yeah, we can do that here. Maybe it's not totally correct, but it will work. Okay, cool. So the next question is there any way to totally remove this difference between components on your page? Well, the thing is very, very simple. It's like transition from columns to decks, and then from decks to card groups. And you need to do that right here, okay, for every individual major div, from decks to groups. I mean group, save, and this one here then will be totally combined, and this one will be kind of normal because we are using decks. So let's also change that. Okay, here, group, and save and refresh, and that works, you know. Maybe you like this, maybe not. You will probably practice for your first website if you're, you know, just starting, if you're a beginner. But I think that with Jumbotrons and the cards, you have a lot of elements to even now think about, and you have also pagination and, you know, a lot of stuff. So the next thing will just be to create and mess around with navigation and so on, and you will get that overall picture how you can in a couple of basically hours create your website, or even less, you know. So anyway, I'm going to render. Thank you for watching, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's learn about really important thing in Bootstrap 4, and those are navigation bars, nav bars. Now they are so important that I decided to delete everything from page, and let's just go from ground zero, because I definitely want you guys to understand everything. So we have container fluid here, and of course we will put all content in it, but Jumbotrons and navigation bars are so important that they are created in such a way that you can use them also outside of container. And also that's clearly stated into documentation, Bootstrap documentation. So let's just go with first example when we have navbars inside of container. Okay, nav, and you must type nav here. There is no classical div. I mean, navigation is so important that folks from Bootstrap organize navigation into this general kind of div which doesn't have name div, but it is designated as nav. So class must be major one, navbar, and you must also combine that with navbar expand, small or large, whatever, and we will combine that with contextual color, for example, and that's one part of the story. But you must also have ULs, unordered list, when we are dealing with navigation, of course, and the class will be navbar nav. So let's go to individual items, and we must also use dedicated class here, which will be item. Okay, and inside of where a link goes, let's just create it. We must use link with, again, dedicated class, and by all means, okay folks, by all means use everything what I type here, because if you miss one thing, maybe your navigation will not look beautiful. I mean, if folks from Bootstrap 4 did a great job, then at least what we can use is to stick with what they say, because they did a lot of testing, a lot of and their research is based on their own experience, and those guys are probably too much experienced. Okay, so please use all classes and subclasses. Don't miss one. So nav link. Okay, and you don't need to memorize these things, but just try to understand everything, because that's the most important stuff. Okay, so let's create well, not here but here, titles, I mean names for links, like generic one, and we can also use that as a template down there a couple of times, up to 3 times. I think that's enough. Okay, save, and let's refresh our page. And here's the thing, you probably noticed that we have here white space, and that default that background for navigation is different, and the reason that happens is because we have our navigation inside of our container. Now let me refer to documentation to solve this. Okay, see here, navbars and their contents are fluid by default, so you don't need to put them in container. Containers are fluid already, so use optional containers to limit their horizontal width. So on the contrary, when you are think that you must type navbars in container, then you are basically creating for yourself a problem or issue, at least. So just you can also have it outside of container, and then it will be stretched 100%. So let's actually grab this and let's copy that to up here, and now when you save and refresh your page, you'll have totally stretched navigation here. But I also want to tell you about some other things, which is contextual color for navbar. Now yes, we use here default BG, but if you wanna change how links actually look like, then you will use dedicated navbar contextual colors. So navbar, for example, light. Okay, and when you save your page, yes, there is that difference, so let's change this to dark to see that thing better. And we'll use dark for both of these things, and you will probably say then you will be in position not to see links, but that's not the case. Okay, check this out. See, you see them. So there is no overlapping. Everything is constructed in such a way that support each other in the Bootstrap. Okay, so they thought about these things. Now what? Let's grab a little content, because I want to a little bit later to explain to you how to stick this navbar to top all the time. So I will just go to another monitor and grab something what I prepared, and that's just a couple of paragraphs, of course inside of container. And now what will happen is, yeah, so you have automatically here normal padding. Okay, now next question, how to put logo here, because some people like to create their websites with logo here, and some people up from header, I mean from navigation bar. So let's do that. Now the reason because people do that is because they're trying to save themselves a little bit of space. So between this general classes and ULs, we will just have one href, and with the class navbar brand or brand, whatever, and inside we can have, well, we can either have image or text, for example. Okay, and let's refresh. See, so that's kind of nice. If you need it, you know, it's important that you can use it if you like. So image, yeah, okay, I'm G, and image was BS for JPEG, and also you need to state the width of your image, but let's just see what will happen if you don't. So this is the result. Now some people will say that's error, but look, if for some reason you want to use this, you can use it, because this is not just kind of navigation but also kind of header. Okay, so dedicated navigation header, whatever. Here you can have image, and here you can have a bunch of links or even drop downs and so on. But it's, you know, up to you to decide these kind of things. I mean, it's just silly idea, you know, you can use it if you like it. Okay, so let's try define style here width, and you will probably happy from 30 to 50 pixels here, because if you type more, then it depends, I mean it depends about size of your image, but then you can mess around the height or height of your navbar. For example, if you type 100%, then, well, at least in my specific case, the result will be a huge navbar, and I don't want that. So let's just go to 50 or even less, and that works. Now next question, let's have this button here, so when users are using your website on tablets, on mobile devices, when they click on that button, they will get into list of links. Okay, so let's go to our source code and let's create dedicated button. That button need to be between what's the term, image and unordered list. Okay, so button, let me have a little bit of space here with couple of dedicated classes. Okay, so class will be navbar, toggler, don't memorize these things, okay, data, toggle, collapse, and we also need to have target, so data target, and that will be specific ID that we are going to create. Let's see, just use the name here, target. And now, I mean, let's immediately create the target, and that will be div here, div with ULs, class collapse, navbar collapse. Don't force yourself to memorize this, okay. ID will be obviously target, because we need it, and the reason we need it, because when you click on this button, this thing will be activated, this whole div. So let's close our div. And what I did forget here, span, yeah. So either you can have, I mean, let me just type that. Span class must be dedicated navbar toggler icon, and let's just leave it empty here for now. And let's see, do we have any kind of errors? Oh yeah, I need to resize it, just a second. So when I resize, hopefully, oh yeah, so there you go. So that works, that's cool, so you have that button working. And yeah, I was talking about fulfilling the span here with some kind of content. So what will happen? For example, if you have these slashes, and then what will happen with your button? Pay attention. See, it's crossed. So basically everything what you put here for I don't know, A, B, C, it will be also combined with three horizontal lines. So maybe you need it. Maybe not, it's up to you. So also you can type here a name of your website. Okay, and let's check our results then. And that's not nice. I mean, it will work, but it's not nice. So definitely just stick with the default kind of empty button. Okay, save. And next question, let me see. How to have this navbar always fixed at the top? So let's go to our source code and let's type up here a specific class which will be fixed to top. And now let's save and refresh our page, but check this out. Check this here line, okay? It's kind of gone. So I mean, yeah, the always will be navbar here, but then what to do with that missing content? Well, the thing is that we can also have class. Let me just find that in documentation. Just a second. What's the name for it? Fixed top. Yeah, fixed top and placement. Fixed top. Yeah, sticky top. Sticky. Where is it? Okay, yes, sticky top. So the difference is that you will see that content. Refresh. See, that's cool. But there is one issue with that. Let me also find that in the documentation. Yeah, also know that sticky top uses position sticky, which isn't fully supported in every browser. Well, you know, you just need to live with some things, or you need to workarounds. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for this tutorial about navigation bars. So that works. Yeah, that's pretty much cool. So I really don't have anything more to say, just you can practice these things and you can also pull out some examples from documentation, but you basically know everything that you need to know to create your basic website and basic navigation. So anyway, thank you for watching and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's learn about modals. Now, how to think about them? Well, they are just Bootstrap for dedicated bunch of classes for pop-ups. And not just that you can have simple pop-ups, but you can turn your modals into really big stuff, like page inside of page. So when user clicks on a link or on a button, that modal will be activated. So let me just go to source code and let's push this content down there to have a little bit more clean our airspace here. So button, we must create that button because user need to click on something, right? And we must use couple of classes here dedicated for modals. But before going into there, btn for example, primary will be color for our button, and data toggle. That's the booster for things, people, so we must type them as they are here. Modal and data target, because when user clicks on this button, some div, some content must be activated. So this is the place where we set our target. I'm using here target, but you can use whatever you like. You can name it whatever you like, and just think about this button as a trigger on a gun. So when you trigger when you trigger, some div will be activated. You will hit some div, right? Okay, so that's the general idea. And some kind of content, click on me to activate me. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. So let's see what we have. Of course that it will not work, but we have a button, so at least we are sure that we didn't mess that part up. Okay, so div, yeah. Now that div, the class will be model. It must be model. It's carved in Bootstrap 4 stone, and ID will be this one, target. I mean, you can call it whatever. You can call it something. Totally not important. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Inside of this big model class div, we need a lot of sub levels and subclasses. So let's just be patient and let's create those levels. So first thing first, model dialog. Okay, and inside of it, model content. And now we need to create actual content, and that content will be split again into header, body, and footer. And that's the reason why I said that models can look like a real small web pages inside of web pages. The difference being when you click on a button, those pages will be activated. Okay, so variables, yeah, div for model header. And inside we will have, for example, h3 with the class model title for title of model. And we can also have some other useful content, but that's you need to decide that about your specific case when you're creating website. So save. And yeah, I forgot the actual X on a model, so when you click on it, you will disable, you will kill basically model. So button, and we don't need name. Okay, let's delete it. So class will be close, that's the Bootstrap 4 specific for models, as this one, dismiss, yeah, model. And you must type these times exactly like it's here. Where is that? Oh, come on. Times. Okay. So the next thing is we need to create actual body. Div with class model body. And inside of it we'll have, I don't know, h2, for example, for some useful content. Okay, I think that's cool. I mean, it's totally up to you. So the next thing is footer. So div with class model footer, and in here we have we need to have button, yet another button. When you click on it, it will also do the same stuff like this button right here. So we can actually, yeah, let's just copy paste that down there. Okay. And let me check it. So type button class, yeah, times, not times but close data dismiss model, that will remain, and class will be btn for example warning. And I think that we are cool with that. If I didn't forget something, I don't know. So let's save our page and refresh. So when I click on me, I mean on a button, yep, so that works. So that's the basically model. Well, yes, I said that we can have all kind of content there, but this h3, I think what I typed, h2. Let me just go to h4. Maybe h2 is too big. And let's copy paste it a couple of times. I mean, yeah, who cares? oops, blah blah blah, paragraph will be blah blah blah, like Slavoj Žižek thing. Okay, save, refresh, click on me. Yeah, so you basically get the point here. You have header with a title, you have body, you have footer, and all that must be, well, inside of modal modal content, which is inside of modal dialog, which is inside of modal, right? So next thing, let me see. Yeah, the animation. Is there any way to put like slowness, like fading here? Well, we can just use modal fade on a modal. Come on, what am I doing? Just a second. Fade. Okay. Save and refresh. And now check this out. It's a kind of slow. It's a, you know. And when I click on X, slow again, close, that works. So next question, can we change the size of our model? Well, yeah, we can do that in dialog section. Okay, just type modal small. Okay, that's default, just a second. Large. That's nice, and let's create something huge, XL, and that will basically be almost the full width, I think. Refresh, and yeah, so that's kind of cool, like a page inside of page. So next thing, what if you wanna when you click on me, I mean on a model, what if you wanna be centered exactly in a page, not just here at the top, but in the center of the page. For example, you're creating some kind of selling platform or page, something like that. So let's just go to simplest possible thing here, and let's add modal dialog center red. Yeah, centered. And now the model need to be small and approximately here. Yeah, right. So refresh, click on me, and there you go. And there is that slight difference, you know. So let's just go to normal operation. See the difference. Now, next thing. What if you have a lot of content inside of your model? What if it's really big, with a lot of paragraphs, for example? So let me just grab a couple of those paragraphs to create model to be really big. And of course we need to put that into body section, save, refresh, click. See that the height of a model is really big, and I mean you can scroll it with the mouse, but what if you wanna have that actual scroll bar here? So the thing is that you need to go to modal dialog or content. Let me see. Yeah, dialog, and you need to again type modal dialog plus scrollable, save and refresh, click. See, there you go. Really cool stuff. Now that will be pretty much for models. They're not so difficult. You just you just need to note somewhere all those classes or even to memorize them, but you know, I don't think that good idea is memorizing all these IT stuff, because the things changes so fast that you need to have 5 brains to remember everything. So the cool thing is just to know that you can have documentation and examples on internet, and the most important stuff is that you know what kind of questions you will ask. Okay, so that's one of the most important thing in IT, in programming in general. So yeah. Thank you for watching. As always, I'm going to render, and see you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, let's learn about Bootstrap for forms, and we are going to use source code from this page. We don't want to delete anything because it's kind of nice to have something on page. So let's just push this model here down there. Probably we will need it a little bit later. So model is inside of our container, of course, and the source code goes to up down there. Yeah, right, genius. So let's just copy paste that here, and let's check our page. That works. Modal works fine. We have a place to do things without forms now. So here's the thing, you will probably say when I type form that I can use everything which is here, but because we are using Bootstrap 4, we will not use class in a form here, okay, like this, because we need different divs. That's Bootstrap 4 dedicated thing. And action and method, of course in production you will use that, but for simplicity we will not mess around with that here. So here's the thing, for every element, for every input, you need to enclose that into something, and that something will be div with specific Bootstrap 4 dedicated class, form group. And you will use this all the time. Everything you have individually, you will enclose that into form group. And label, for example, for emails, because we are creating form which will grab email and password and text area, some kind of text from user. So the name of it, for it will be email, and email, that's text. Now here's the thing, when you go to input for type, you must use email, and email with the class form control, and you will use form control class all the time. Now, yeah, I need ID, sorry, email. And let me explain why we need to define this type as it is here. So forms, yeah, be sure to use an appropriate type attribute on all inputs, for example email for email addresses and so on, to take advantage on the newer input controls like email verification, number selections and more. So that's the thing, if you're going to use framework, then use everything from framework. You just don't want to mix too much your custom stuff and Bootstrap 4 stuff, because if you're going to do that a lot, then just forget about frameworks and do everything with the custom CSS. So the point of framework is to save you a little bit of time and money, and you want to just invest that into something more important as a backend, as messing around with your CMS. Does it function as it needs to function? Do you need to add or remove some kind of things and so on? So definitely use everything that Bootstrap 4 demands here. Or if you don't do that, you will run into all kind of problems. Okay, so where I was? Yeah, form, you must use this, and this. Okay, so let's see what we have in the results. Okay, right, so that works. Now note that forms are kind of greedy like many other elements in Bootstrap, and that's kind of nice. Greedy in which sense? In a sense that will take a full width, 100% width. And that's cool because you can enclose these things into, for example, columns that you will limit with specific width and so on. So it's a kind of greedy, but that's how Bootstrap 4 works, and that's cool. So again, think for password, div with the class form group, and label for password, and input, and we must type here password, and we don't care about name and value here, but we must specify class, which will be form control again, and ID password. Okay, save, and let's see what we have. Oops, why I do have this? Just a second, I probably messed something up. Yeah, that's it. Form control, and refresh, and that works. So let's go with the submit thing, which will be button with type is button. Okay, class btn, for example, primary, submit and save and refresh, and that works. Now, next question. What if you want to have text area, for example, between submit and password field? So let's do that. Between this div and button, okay, we need to have another div with the form group again, and yeah, label for text area, I don't know, some text, or I mean, this is kind of message contact form that you have on your websites, so when for example, you're a hosting company, and when users do have some kind of problem and then they are registered, they will fulfill their email and password and the topic of their problem. For example, they hosting is expired and something like that. It's not important, so they want to contact you basically. Okay, so that's for label. And text area or name, we don't need that, for example. Class must be again form control, and rows 8, that will be too much. Let's go to 3, and columns 80, I don't know, maybe. So let's save this and refresh our page. I will leave this just for testing purposes to see what's gonna happen, how that look like basically. Yep, that works, but because Bootstrap 4 is greedy in this sense, this will not yield us any kind of results, so that means that we will have the same results here. Yep. Okay, so that works. Now, here's the question. What if for some reason you don't like these stacked form, like you have vertical arrangement, you want to have everything horizontally? Well, the thing is that you need to go to form at the top here, and class must be form inline. So let's save and let's see what happens. So that's kind of ugly. I mean, it's ugly, but it works. Just a second. Where I was? Yeah, here. Let's have a couple of breaks here just to see things better. Now, of course, that you need to customize a couple of things, and it depends in what kind of column you're using this, so you will have different results. So you need to mess around with inlines a little bit more. So I will just suggest, let's just go with a normal vertical stacked arrangement, and let's do something fun here. Let's grab everything from this form and let's put it into our model. Where is it? Okay, so form, let's grab that up till down there, and where is a model? Body. Okay, up here. Let me just select it like this and copy paste, so we don't need this button in a footer. Actually, we can grab, maybe we can grab this button, but no, let's just leave in a, we don't want to mess around too much. Let's just leave it into form, model body, and let's see what we have now. Oops. Let's just go and copy that up here where it was originally. Okay, save and refresh, click on me. So that's kind of cool, that works. I mean, you can play all around with the forms a lot here, but there is no point, to create videos about it, because you will need a playlist with 40 videos. Now, You have basically everything in documentation. For example, let's just go briefly through everything. Yeah, form controls, and then you will run into example for multiple select, and we have done that thing about text area and sizing. Form control LG, you will put that into input types. Okay, form control LG, but of course you will combine it with form control primary. So yeah, that. And what else? Read only, plain text read only, different range inputs. You have example for that. So there is pretty much no purpose in creating individual videos, because this is for total beginners and will took us a lot of time. You will probably get bored and go to play Counter-Strike or something. Inline and without labels. I mean, you have a lot of stuff. Just see where I'm with mouse. You can waste I mean 4 or 5 days experimenting just with the forms. Oh man, this is a lot of work. I don't want to do that. Look, you know, basic stuff about forms. We have that example into models and into directly into page. So I think that we did a nice job with the forms. Nothing special, pretty much. Yep. So that's it. See you next tutorial. Hello YouTube, in this tutorial we are going to learn about Bootstrap for carousel. I think that's correct term, carousel. Look, I don't know. We're just talking about Bootstrap for slideshow, and that's the term they also use in documentation. A slideshow component for cycling through elements, images or slides of text, something like that. You can have many elements, many items into slideshow. It's totally up to you. So let's just go with the simplest possible scenario here. We have 3 images, we can roll through it manually, we can just wait to slideshow to automatically start running, and yeah, we have arrows for manual thing, we have indicators down there, and official term here is indicators. Okay, now these images, they are into root of my website. The names are B4, Django and JS, so those are just JPEG files. So let's delete this carousel, this slideshow, and we will go from ground zero basically, because I want you to understand everything, because there is a couple of things we absolutely must understand here. Well, the first thing first, we must create general div for our slideshow, and here's why. We must absolutely use a couple of things here, specific classes and a couple of other things. So carousel, slide, we must use that. That's Bootstrap 4 thing, absolutely. And data ride must be carousel. And what is that basically? Well, the easiest thing to explain here is just to go to documentation and let me that attribute is used to mark a carousel as animating starting at page load. If you don't use that thing to initialize your carousel, you have to initialize it yourself. So the simplest possible thing to do here is just to use it in your general slideshow div immediately. Okay, and we also need to define ID here, and that's something that we define. It's totally at our will. So let's say slide. So this is general container. And yeah, when we are talking about containers, I'm just creating here a slideshow without rows and columns, because you know how your page will look like basically. So rows and columns, that's totally up to you how you will arrange elements on your page. We're just talking about here about carousel, about slideshow. Now, couple of other things. If you look into, I mean, you cannot look, I deleted everything. Oh yeah, so we have 3 things here: the images and controls and indicators. So let's go to those sections into our slideshow. First thing is to create items, and class must be carousel inner. So this is general border, general div for actual content, I mean images in this case. And for every item you need to have specific class, carousel item. I typed that correctly, I think, and image source, which will be before JPEG. Okay, that's our image, and let's copy paste that down there. That's kind of template. Okay, so Django uppercase, okay, here, and JS, just JS, and now you will probably say that thing will work nicely. Well, let's see what we have. We have just pretty much nothing, and here's the reason. Every time when you're creating a slideshow, you need to set one item to be active. Okay, so this one here, active, and now you will see results. Just a second, I typed that, oh yeah, semicolon, I mean quote, active. And here's the thing, we don't have controls and we don't have indicators, so that's kind of issue. So let's create that. Okay, the controls, yeah, right, so let's create them down here. href, that need to shoot to slide, so this is from here. Okay, id slide for our general slideshow container, so that's kind of our target. And class, specific class must be carousel control previous and data slide previous, and inside we must type span with class. You must type these things, I mean, don't try to memorize these things, just copy paste them from somewhere on the internet or from this tutorial, whatever. Just don't torture yourself with memorizing these classes and then attributes and so on. The important thing here is to just get the general principle, and then you will know what kind of questions to ask on internet, and that's basically half of job done. So yeah, carousel control previous icon, and now we need to have a left arrow, so let me check that. Okay, so that works, so that's cool. And we have this problem, I don't know if you notice, see, we have cut off T here. Well, here's the thing, if you must type something else into general items. Just a second. Okay, here. Now, what is that? That is class D block W100, and you will do that for every item, and here is the reason why. Let me just find that from documentation on this page. So if we don't do that, see, we'll do that to prevent browser default image alignment. So basically, if you want to center your images into slideshow, then you must use D block and W100 on every item, right? So let me just copy that for every item I have, and that's a class, of course. So save, and I think that I fixed that problem with T. Oh yeah, so that's cool, that works. So next thing, yeah, right arrow, right? I will just copy this to save ourselves a little bit of time, and previous to next, data slide next, and control icon for next. And now I have a right arrow, so that works, that's kind of nice. So indicators, right, a lot of people will put indicators up here directly down from defining a general container. You don't need to do that, but you know, that's what a lot of people use, so why not? Why confuse yourselves with different options? I mean, it depends how you think about those things, but yeah. So UL, we will use UL when we mess around with indicators with specific class, which will be carousel indicators. That's official name, and inside we will have corresponding what's the term here? Corresponding leas for every image. Let me just type and you will understand. Data target slide. Is it slide? Oh yeah, it is slide. And data slide to where? To position 0. So here's the thing. This is classical programming numbering here. I mean, when you count things in programming, you will, in most programming languages, go from 0. So if we have 3 images, the first position will be 0. So for every item you need to have individual lei here. So 0 for B4 and 1 for Django and 2 for JavaScript. So how many images here? That many individual leis. So let's just copy paste that. Number 2 and number 1, and this one is active, so up here we also need to type active. We must do that, you know. In between there is no need to be anything, but we are just, you know, creating the basic indicators. So let me just save that and see what's happening. We have indicators, controls, and yep, that works basically. Now here's the thing. If you don't set indicators, you can just scroll through your slideshow with what's the term, arrows. But it's nice also to have these indicators because, you know, maybe some people just don't want to scroll with mouse left and right. They just want to, you know, click down there if you're creating some kind of album, gallery. Because I have 3 images here, but you can have, I don't know, dozens of them here. So it's kind of easier just to click to remember specific position and then to click onto that position. Well, it depends how you think about it, but that's how thing works basically. So yeah, now you know about slideshows, and let me just to repeat here everything because it's extremely important to realize general principle here. So we have general container, and we must use this class and data write, and we must define specific slide because we will use that all the time when we create indicators as a data target, okay? And also down there when we have controls here, okay, the same idea. And when we create lists of items, we must put that into general carousel inner div, and then for every item we must use carousel item, and for one we absolutely must set active to be active, and also we must do that into this, what's the term, indicators. And when you're creating indicators, of course you must set target again. Did I mention that correctly? I mean, a couple of seconds before. I don't know, I'm losing my mind, it's a heat outside. Anyway, when you're creating it, you also need to define places. For every item you must have data slide to that and that specific number. And when you are messing around with controls left and right, don't forget to change previews and next. You can't have 2 previews, you know. if you have two of them, the thing will basically look stupid. You're just doubling information here, so see, nothing. I think that I'm going to end this playlist right here, because that's pretty much everything that you need to get yourself into Bootstrap 4. Not just that you can create a simple website with Jumbotrons and with different components on your page with carousel, and you have that dynamic feeling about your site. So the important thing here is that you know how to basically ask questions and how to read documentation. And documentation for Bootstrap is one of the nicely structured documentation I saw on internet. So they did a really nice stuff, and the website looks nice. It's not aggressive, you know. You have some project and the website is totally confusing, but Bootstrap 4 documentation is absolutely awesome. For every component you have a lot of things here to read and practice. So yeah, we did a nice job here, and I'm going to end this playlist here for beginners, and see in next tutorials, which will be dedicated maybe for Bootstrap for advanced things or for another programming languages. I don't know. In any case, see you next tutorial.